Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and of all the times, dog, I swear. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Barton Esports versus University of Waterloo here on NECC Rainbow Six Siege. It's week 2, the Champions Division. I'm Corbeck. Alongside me is time tonight. Time tonight would be a very different matter entirely.
That's true.
As we get ready to jump into this matchup, an 0-1 team versus 1-0 team here tonight.
Mhm.
Time. What do you think we can expect from these two teams?
I mean, we're in Champions Division. This should be a very competitive matchup, and the score lines indicate very big differences. An 0-1 team versus a 1-0 team, but it's been 1 week. Let's be honest here. Both of these teams still very much in the conversation of top of the tables, especially through just this first week of play. Let's actually take a look at Barton Community College, analyze our squads, at least one of them, as we move forward. We have I'm a Toaster 5000, Neymar Jr., Salty Archer, Dalos R6, and Urfi 9. Favorite name, Corbeck, out of all 5 of these. What do you got?
Favorite name? Salty Archer, I think. I was just at
Okay.
the archery range yesterday. It appeals to my personality, so there you go. But let's go ahead and take a look at the other side of the ball. It's going to be the University of Waterloo here. It's Suvin, Uni Struggle, Halronic, Slate, and Shaiku. Very close to Shaiko right there. A squad of juniors primarily, one senior and one sophomore slipping in there. And I'll ask the same question of you, Time. What's your favorite name? Who you picking?
Howlronic, easily.
I was gonna go for that one too.
Yeah, it's a pretty bang on name, I have to say. Little help with the name Howl because I'm a Counter-Strike fan, and the M4A4 Howl always a fun weapon. But moving away from our team names, the team players, let's move into our maps. That's the big conversation here. Corbeck, the map's always an important one. Our first map, Villa, and the last, I think the biggest of the conversation, Border, with Oregon in between.
Yeah, Border is the odd man out, right, of this set of maps, probably the most non-traditional. Interesting, of course, Cafe Dostoevsky getting taken out very early on in the ban process. I would tend to put that into sort of the places where I would think that's a map that's on the same level of Villa, Oregon, what have you, is a really consistently played map. Border as a decider could prove to be an interesting place to have to go. I don't necessarily know if we're going to see those teams get there, to be fair. When we saw University of Waterloo play last week, they got a very convincing 2-0 win over Wayne State. I think their opponents put up a grand total of 4 rounds across 2 maps. Meanwhile, Barton Esports, much more of a fight, a 6-8, a 7-3, and a 5-7 in their loss. So they've got the fight in them. I just don't know if we'll see Border tonight or whether this is just going to be an opportunity for University of Waterloo to kind of walk their way in on 2 very well-known maps.
Always a difficult conversation, especially when you bring in the more played maps in the pool. I think the top 3 as of right now, Clubhouse, Oregon, Villa, in no particular order. I think Chalet is maybe taking the spot of Clubhouse more often than not, but you still have most of the maps in the realm of normality, inside your standard deviation, all you statisticians would say, because the only ones really not consistently in there are Theme Park and Skyscraper, and with how often Fisher played on stream last semester, Fisher was really a consistent conversation point.
Very much so. And I mean, starting off here on Villa, this is, I would say, outside of Clubhouse, like you were saying, probably about as bread and butter as it gets, right? Like there's the top 3, Clubhouse, Oregon, Villa. Everybody knows them. You know the defensive setups. You know how to play them by now. There are different, approaches to bomb sites that teams can take. So there are variations, but it's kind of like chess where a lot of the variations are known, right? That's not necessarily a sense we can predict what's going to happen in the first 2 rounds per se, but we certainly have a little bit of insight there. A Jackal ban coming out early on here. Time makes a bunch of sense in context. A very annoying operator on this map. That actually second ban I find a lot more interesting. I don't think we live in a world where Thatcher has to be banned all the time anymore.
No, I have to agree with you, and because of the impact EMPs, you still see Thatcher bans sometimes. You should also see a Cade ban at that point, and it's not Barton banning out the Cade. Waterloo obviously still has the option to do so, but I have to say I'm a little surprised with the Thatcher ban, especially considering the only real places that you would play a Cade, because Mute and Bandit really don't matter, are, Study on that wall, either one of the two walls, I suppose, between Aviator and or Games, and then the master wall going into Statuary. That's about all she wrote.
I mean, it's a sort of situation, right, where there are definitely ways that you can counteract a Kaid player, right? The Electro Claw is by no means an infallible device for hard breaching, but definitely much more of a struggle without the use of those Thatcher EMPs. You're probably going to want to try and run something like a Twitch up the inside. Interesting though, just kind of looking at this setup, they're actually not running anyone who I would consider to be kind of a Kaid counter. That's probably because they see the Bandit choice coming out, which to me is a very interesting choice for this bomb site. Part of the reason is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bandit only has 4 batteries,
Correct.
which means that there is one piece of wall you cannot reinforce, and Uni Struggle is putting one on the vault right now. Thank you very much, Observer, for that, which means that they will not be able to finish out the reinforcements going into Study. So they've clearly got to be playing some sort of open wall defense on the B bomb site, and I never feel 100% convinced by those time. I always feel like that's a very kind of, that could easily backfire on you in so many ways.
So there's two different schools of thought to the open wall inside of Aviator, as you mentioned, with the lack of a 5th Bandit battery. Number one, obviously, you can hold Study a little bit easier. You can prevent entry into that room specifically. Sure, that's a big conversation that a lot of teams want to make sure they can hold in a big room itself, because it has outlets into the site, and notably towards top ground stairs, which then goes to long hallway, and you've got yourself a whole host of other issues. The other side of that same conversation is pushing forward, especially later on. Nice shot, by the way, from Shaikololo, who's a Shaiku on our roster sheet. Still looking for more at that. Okay, about to say, almost finding the other one. The other school of that same conversation is reinforcing it all, giving them Study because, well, yeah, they have Study, but they don't have the site, and they can't kill you inside of Study.
Very much so, and a good bit of early play right there, showing kind of the pressure that a Valkyrie on the roam can apply right at the start. You've actually got an Oryx buried up in here, and I don't think they necessarily know that Oryx is in this position. Well, there you go. That answers that question. Subin gets the easiest kill of his life right there and drops down, immediately hitting the bricks, and now an adaptation situation coming out from Barton. Unfortunately, though, they're going to have to adapt to a 2v5 because the C4 from below finishes off Dalos. Urfi quick to go. Salty Archer, my favorite team name, he claps back right there. Gotta give credit where credit is due. Gets a shot in, but unfortunately a short-lived victory.
And a victory, and a good one there for the University of Waterloo. The defensive side held strong, and notably it held chaotic. My favorite playstyle on the defensive side is pressure, and it's just pressure in every sense of the word. Nice kill here from Shaiku to open things up, but because they pressured Shaiku off and immediately droned that, they didn't feel that they had to clear out that trophy side, and they were able to take control of it. Suva to follow-up, and then a black eye camera from the Valkyrie ended up leading to a follow-up kill, that from the C4. Very well defended early on, because aggression maybe works out a little bit more often than a lot of offenses would like for a defensive side.
It's one of those eternal debates, right, in Siege defensive strategy, and I think that more often than not, if I'm honest with you, Time, I do think the ball comes down on the side of being more aggressive, right? You try and take the attackers off guard with the fact that you're just suddenly in their face. That's what Shaiku did, was in a position you wouldn't necessarily expect it. If the droning's not on point in those very important situations, you'll just get overwhelmed, and that's exactly what happened right there. Just an overwhelming kind of moment of audacity off the side of Waterloo Esports. The only good news, I would say, here for Barton is that they now perhaps know to expect that to a certain degree, so we'll have to see how they sort of adapt their play with the expectation that exactly something like this could be in the cards. Slate right there waiting for a potential jump out if anybody were to get on the small roof.
No
He
way.
will actually run out, goes for the shot, clips Neymar Jr., but is not able to bring him down.
Neymar Jr. will live to fight another day.
Attackers have located a bomb.
And Waterloo, again, playing a little aggressive. I do feel like this play from Waterloo may get caught out a little bit more often than not. If I was on the Waterloo side, I'd suggest playing aggressive early, just like that, but instead backing away. Luckily for Waterloo, I'm not them, because Uni Struggle will just aggress again, and it works out. Dalos is taken care of, but then the re-engagement is there. Salty Archer holding the cross will drop him away, and there is a refrag to make it a 4v5.
The problem with the strategy like this, right, is it does have limited utility in the sense that eventually the offense should start adapting to this. But Barton, I think they're still trying to find their feet here, right? They're trying to find the ideal way to counter out this level of aggression, and they're setting up some crossfires. This is a good thing to see. Irvi here moving into position, has the Yin Candela out. Shaiku, though, not intimidated at all, just takes Salty Archer out at the head, and that leaves only Neymar Jr., he who was wounded early on in the conflict, holding off the small window here, and it's a bit of a hopeless situation. You might be able to take one out of this for pride, but here comes the run out, nearly manages to pick somebody off on that, won't find it, continues to hold the position, and there's the kill from a really wide swing out from Suvin. And unfortunately, that will be it. So now the question becomes for the offense: how do you begin to mitigate, right, the level of aggression that Waterloo is showing? What operators do you need to work into your lineup here, time, to slow this down a bit?
I would suggest some LMGs if Waterloo's going to make Barton continually play a game of whack-a-mole outside of windows and doorways, because that was just a really rude finish to the round. But if you're looking at it objectively, especially on the Barton side, you have to make sure that you cleanly get into the map. That's their first real goal. For instance, in the previous round, that did not happen, at least as not as cleanly as they would have liked. They got a little bit of study control, but that was about all she wrote on that side of the map, because Waterloo just continuously re-engaged, and it worked out for them. Barton's Barton's attacking side, my apologies, has not gotten into the map as easily as they would like, and Waterloo's just continually playing aggressively, maybe picking different options to go in, droning a little bit more early on, or just dedicating a little bit more utility. That would be the ways they can play forward, at least a little bit safer.
Well, you've got the new operator here in this lineup, and that can cause some serious problems here for the attackers. It's interesting. I feel like that role would often be filled by, maybe a pulse or something on this particular bomb site. You use the heartbeat monitor to take people out who are on the floor above you, vertical control being kind of the name of the game. You can sort of use the stand-in of this. Now, interesting, too, it's going to be the run out, but an early drop right there. I don't know how Dalos got caught out, but that's exactly what you were talking about, time. You just can't be caught out looking by that. And Shaiku throws one over the top and finishes Dalos off, and that's that. There's no trades either, because the IQ was basically operating on their own. Very unfortunate start to the round here for Barton. It's proving to be a very difficult lock to pick. Let's just put it at that now, these early entry stages.
Oh, and follow-up as well. Just insult to injury as Shaiku continuously just frags out, and it's working out for them. There hasn't been a definitive lock on what they could play, and the problem that you're going to see is that Lion, while they were being picked in, isn't on for the rest of the round. That was a good pick to try and counter. A follow-up would be the Dokebi. The problem is you have to be able to convert off the information you're gaining. And Jackal, your number one target you'd probably pick to deny this roam, Jackal's banned. And that's just not something you can counter at this point. Suvin there to play Crossfire with Shaiku. It is just strategies working out exactly as Waterloo planned coming into this map. And Barton, down 3 rounds, almost certainly at the end of this one. Not the greatest start, at least not what they were hoping for.
All this time I've seen this map, time, and I've never noticed that giant V on the floor of that hallway. Is
Really?
that new? Yeah, I've never seen that before.
Do you know the ceiling of Cafe's bakery? There's like a Michelangelo-esque painting.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've never seen that V. So wow, every day is a learning day. That's every day. Oh, well, unfortunately, Neymar Jr., he's not going to be learning much for the rest of this round, but hopefully he'll get another crack on it next time. Good kill there from Urfi. At least gets one in for pride, and that's what you want to see. The fight's still there. They're certainly not beat yet. Urfi now stepping back up to challenge on the double door, looking for something, won't find it. Comes out gun swinging again, nearly drops on the kill for Slate, but Slate wins it out from the long angle. Good little bit of bait there from University of Waterloo Warriors to wrap that round up. And the offense slowing down here. Shaiku looks like they might have disconnected, so we'll see if they can get a pause, I believe is the process. If not, they'll just play with the 4, and there it is, the pause coming in. I was going to say a potential opportunity on deck there for Barton, but it is not to be in this scenario.
And this is, again, a clean start there for them. Urfi does actually find a down on towards Suvin there. The problem, unfortunately, with it is they didn't know they actually downed Suvin, so we're still worried about that third angle. And when you swing into the main door, having to look 3 different ways all at the same time, you're winning that fight about 1 every 1,500 tries or so. It's just, it's not an expected win. And by no fault of their own, again, you're looking at Waterloo just continuously fragging out. And there's not much that, at this point, Barton has done about it. This, however, would be a pretty good time for them to find something out. They don't have to use their tactical timeout. Technical timeout will give at least the team time to talk to one another and figure out a way to deal with this aggression. Maybe playing all 5 together. That hopefully would work for them, avoiding possibilities of single frags without no trait potential. That would be the #1 goal as we move into our second cycle.
It's not a V. Thank you for whoever put that. It's not a V, it's the Assassin's Creed symbol. And I nearly said at the start, I was like, that looks a lot like the Assassin's Creed symbol. And I didn't want to be like a dope and just make claims about potential Ubisoft references in other Ubisoft games. But yeah, it's the Assassin's Creed logo. There you go.
Well, did you see Flores for?
Yeah,
Barton's
he's got
attack?
the Assassin Altair skin now, right? So you know, it's all there. It's all connected. Waiting for my I believe For Honor skins to be brought over one of these days. That game's still a thing, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, just in case you forgot about it. Anyway, back to the matter at hand.
Skins. Uno skins.
Back to the matter at hand. Yeah, the problem is it's definitely what you nailed a little bit earlier before that round started, right? Which is this issue of entry and entry fragging. And it's hard. It's hard to counteract that. It's hard when you feel like you're already a bit on the back foot. So you as a team begin to have to look for answers to that challenge. And I feel like they had some of the pieces correct there. I think the use of a lion is a smart thing to help a little bit, maybe lock some of these roamers down on the entry. And I think they brought the IQ, maybe thinking something a little bit similar. If somebody's on a camera or something, you can pick it up. But obviously, she's a lot more hit and miss in that regard. I do think 2 things they could really benefit from, just off the top of my head, would be a little bit more coherency. They always seem to set one member kind of off on an off angle to establish some pressure. Not a bad idea in theory, but when you need kind of trades off of these early entry frags, that player cannot contribute, as we saw from the last round. The other one is it's just a simple matter of droning, right? Like, and I say it's a simple matter. Droning is actually incredibly complex and quite difficult, right, for most teams. So I think that the droning would really work in their advantage.
Well, just a brief note from our observer, for all of you curious as to why we're starting things back up and there's still only 9 players in the lobby. Waterloo will attempt to fix their technical issues, but for the time being are going to be playing a 4 versus 5. Not the greatest position for them to be in, especially considering he who was fragging out, Shaiku, on the Valkyrie in just about every single round thus far, is the one who's exited stage left. So Barton, if this is now a time for them to come back, they've been given a pretty good opportunity to do so. They start the round with a man advantage every single time, and the main fragger for Waterloo, who's been creating so much chaos and interruption on that Barton attack, already taken care of.
Exactly, and this is now where you want to try and, grasp what rounds you can, right? A gift has been delivered onto the time to take advantage of it. You still got issues here, though. You've got Suvin, who's 5-0 right now, another huge player in these kind of early game kills. You can't really discount any of them, but theoretically, a 5v4, it should be a lot easier for you to set up a coordinated attack. And I like this a lot better. They started out in relatively the same position. They did, however, kick Salty Archer out on the backside, which is unfortunate because I feel like those Yin Candelas, when they're used in conjunction with the rest of the team, it's just so much more, effective. You really maximize the value. The operator that I want to be looking at here, though, is Neymar Jr. on the Nook, right? This is going to be the person who could actually get you frags in a 4-person setup, because whether you like it or not, in a 4-person setup, there is an information deficiency because you are just literally missing one player who cannot provide callouts. So with that information deficiency, an operator like Nook who capitalizes on stealth. Oh, not stealthy enough. Suvin on deck catches it out early on and it deals with the issue and renders all of my talking points for about the last 30 seconds entirely moot time, which is the unfortunate perils of being a caster in this day and age.
You know, I love
That
Nook.
and the Bears.
Oh my gosh. I love Nook. Her one deficiency is that the FMG9 is atrocious now. It used to be actually pretty good, but you basically have first bullet recoil. So unless you're controlling recoil from the first press of mouse 1, you're not going to win a fight, unfortunately. And the T5 is a polar opposite. There's no recoil ever, much less after the first bullet. Slate, by the way, is coming back with a vengeance. SMG-11 out. Does get pushed off the angle, though, being shot from 3 different angles at that, and is downed, but not out at this point. I don't know if they're aware of the down. Should they move, well, the sound key will be there, but it doesn't matter. Slate is finished off, and about a minute 20 left in this round. Pretty good position for Barton to be in. I spent
Uni struggle really coming out big right there. Good kills, good headshots. The members of Barton, I think, just struggling a little bit to catch themselves out in those 1v1 situations. Love the coordinated team play to take down Mute, though. It's just a shame that Lightning doesn't strike twice. That said, Uni struggle pretty low on health, so there will be an opportunity to get a kill here. He gives him a little bit of warning, but I'm a Toaster has to watch out. You got to back out of this and back up into the corner here. Play off of it just a little bit. A couple of shots from the AK-12 right there. Take the time to reload. Got the Brockeye skin on deck as well, so you know he's working with power. How ironic. I nearly said how ironic. Gets one. Gets the drop on Herfy as well. Good effort with the prone. I appreciate a little bit of technical skill right there. Unfortunately, it does not come to fruition. That leaves everything on the back of I Am a Toaster 5000. He's going to have to be a Toaster 5000 to win. He will not find it. It's Subin on the slow roll, and that recoilless SMG that you were discussing earlier, Time, coming in big right there to let them win this 4v5.
And a disadvantage there for I'm a Toaster. AK-12 is a great gun in straight up 100 HP versus 100 HP weapon fights. But when you have a T5 up against you and you're already low HP, that high fire rate's going to beat you just about every day of the week, especially when Peeker's advantage and swinging advantage strafing across your screen come into the same conversation. Again, not much that Barton could have done about that round. Waterloo re-aggressed at the perfect time while Barton was caught off a little bit on drones, and as soon as those drones were taken care of, a lack of information ended up costing them later on, and it's down to a 4-0 scoreline where Waterloo is continuously running away.
Yeah, it's unfortunate they weren't able to wrench it back around in the 5v4. That would have been an ideal time to do it. I mean, I will say it's positive in the call of a Barton, right, that there are, I think, slow improvements coming around here. Like, there are good things happening. The crossfire, that was a good play. They knew what they were doing. They're working on it. They're making an effort. Their information game is getting better. I can just tell by the way that they're playing this out. You know, Neymar Jr., when he swung onto Suvin there earlier on in this map, that was done with information. He expected the Oryx to be there. It's just he didn't win the gunfight. So that's good. I mean, these are things that can be worked on and drilled. The danger on this is obviously going to be Slate. No Jackal on the board means taking down that Cav is going to be much more difficult. Cav is kind of the bane of sort of, you know, ranked, unranked, low-level play. I think these guys are probably able to compensate for it, and they're doing a good job here because they're kind of denying Shaiku these early picks, and there you go. That's exactly what you need to do. Wait for them to get overconfident. Neymar Jr. in position, takes Shaiku out, and starts it off on a 5v4. Great way to start the game.
I appreciate the way they also took that fight, not just walking into Shaiku because Shaiku was detected, but doing so from 2 different angles, so even if Shaiku finds an opening kill there, they still find a refrag, but it doesn't even happen. While Shaiku was over-focused on Dalos, they swing and find the kill off the back of it. I'm a Toaster droning in, should find a decent bit of information, but you can see drones are being taken care of. They're down to 7 in the first minute of the round, not the worst case of scenarios for them, but they would like a little bit more information if they could help it.
They would like a little bit more information. This is what they need to be doing. This is how you contain that aggression, and you'll notice that the members of Waterloo actually playing a little bit closer to home this time. Still some aggressive movements. Uni Struggle coming out right there, trying to be very aggressive, but the problem I'm sensing here is that still nobody has a bead on Slate's position, and that could become very problematic. Oh, that's unfortunate there. Barton steps in. I thought it was a frost mat for a second. I think it was just pure gunfire on a really wicked, nasty angle. Salty Archer, though, turns it into a 5v3, and here comes the Cav. Look at this, kills pouring in for Barton. Perfectly done. The only one left alive is a Cav with a little SMG in hand. I don't think they have any idea who's waiting for him around the corner. Good kill, actually, under Urfy. Managed to twist it out. Comes hurtling in on the back of the impact grenade.
What?
And that is gotta be some sort of server error because those bullets look dead on. But hey, all right, whatever. Barton takes the win, and W is W, as they say in the business.
Ubisoft.exe has stopped working, I think, on that headshot. It should have still been a round victory for Barton. A little bit of carelessness, I'd say, is the word, maybe in towards that closet. But other than that, they were clean in their aggression. They took out a lot of the control that Waterloo had at the top of Aquarium. And most importantly, they did so as a team. I brought it up at the beginning of the round. I'll bring it up post-round as well. Barton played that round as a squad rather than giving over 1v1s towards that Waterloo side, and that's the adjustment that they really needed now coming to fruition, giving them at a bare minimum a single round. That's a jumping off point. They say your first steps are always the most difficult. Barton has at least taken that first step towards at least some sort of a victory.
Indeed. Now they're trying again. The Frost actually making an appearance. I spoke a Frost into existence right there, whether I liked it or not. And I do like it, actually. I've seen some wonderful little bits of Frost gameplay here. Actually, kind of 2 trappers in this lineup. Technically 3 if you count Smoke in that basket, and some people do. But mainly looking at Halronic here with the Thorn, and then Shaiku playing the Frost. That's actually a little bit scary. And you'll be honest with you here, Time. I'm not sure that's the best strategic shift they could have made, just because it does seem like Barton is being more cautious now. They might get caught out. These runouts are ridiculous, though, and Shaiku gets justifiably punished for a little bit of overconfidence right there. And I mean, I know, okay, you're up 4-1 here, Waterloo, but you got to give them some credit. They're expecting this.
The adjustments, they're coming through. A wise man once said, there's a term in Texas, I bet there's one here in Tennessee as well. You fool me once, shame on me. Fool me, you never get fooled again. And then it's a whole track into a song, I forget which one. But it's like some politician at some point. Anyway, terrible memes aside.
Should have sent a poet. I don't know, it's great.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Anyway, Waterloo losing that opening pick, not the greatest of starts for them. I said the same thing about Barton, but the problem here for Waterloo is, again, it's Shaiku. And every round that Shaiku has died in the first, minute? Well, Waterloo's lost the round, albeit every round means 1, but still a conversation point.
And you can see, actually, I was talking about that caution paying off. Neymar Jr. there taking out the Frost mat. It's if that's the comfortable use of a Rotero for them, then so be it. And it's good. It gets the job done. Sending in another Rotero now, and these Roteros are actually doing a mighty amount of work right here. The lack of a mute actually kind of being problematic. Slate there taking the Iana clone out, immediately trying to follow up on a shot towards the window with the SMG-11. Will find the kill. Halronic will find one as well. It's about time. They've been hunting for one for a bit here, and they'll get it. Neymar Jr., though, coming out on top, keeps it even. Neymar swinging again, throws the flash grenade through one more time, and now playing a very dangerous game of Pixies here. Halronic trying to move around and find a different shooting position. Unistruggle in a similar spot right now. Suvin destroying some util, going back, trying to farm another kill off the master bedroom window. I mean, you got to give him credit for coming back to the same well twice. It won't work this time. I'm a Toaster now in the lead, a dangerous position for the diffuser to be in. I wonder if they maybe will reconsider this with only 30 seconds left on the clock.
Reconsideration has to come through quickly, though. Indecisiveness can cost you, especially in the last few seconds, and Unistruggle knows what they're shooting at. A follow-up again there as the Thorn reigns true. It's down to Urfy, who again finds one, but Unistruggle long range with that 416 carbine. Clean shot onto the head, dropping them out and dropping them, being Waterloo, into a 5-1 halftime split. Pretty good position for them to be in here on Villa.
And we can't sugarcoat it too much, right? It's definitely been a rough ride here for Barton. on that offense. It is worth pointing out Villa is a very, very, very defender-sided map, right? That's very true. You can tell that Waterloo Warriors, they know that. They're taking advantage of it. They're punishing Barton. Those early rounds with those early run-out deaths, that's the kind of stuff that you just don't get back. I will say, though, Barton did show consistent improvement across all of their offensive routes to the point where, you know, it took them a while to get there. It took them a while in the adaptation. By the time that they got there, they were doing what they needed to do. And those last couple of rounds, basically after Shaiku got dropped out and reconnected, those last couple of rounds felt a lot closer than those opening rounds. And that's good for Barton. That's a positive takeaway from a difficult offensive half. Now we get the opportunity to see what they can do on the defense. Obviously, they've got a little bit of a cushion to play with here, time. It's not a huge one, but it's enough. I love the Capkin pick in this context, by the way, because Capkin, kind of like Frost, is an operator who takes advantage of really aggressive and overconfident people. And I feel like Waterloo is A, they're a very aggressive team off the rip. B, I do feel like they're feeling a little overconfident right now. So we'll see if these Capkin explosives maybe punish them just a little bit in the early stages of this map.
There is the counter, however, with Unistruggle bringing in the IQ. Apparently, an avid German operator fan playing the Jaeger IQ. Didn't see a Blitz or that Bandit, but hopefully we will maybe later on. And they're just going to walk in as well. It works out fairly well for them. Unistruggle, a follow-up on the Salty Archer, and Shaiku making sure that those EDDs are taken care of, but this diffuser's going down. Neymar Jr., however, from the study side, will get at least one, and a follow-up from I'm a Toaster brings it to a 2 versus 2. Waterloo, most of their advantage now gone, but it is down to just I'm a Toaster. In a 1 versus 2, has a C4 in hand, and 2 minutes to work with. The problem is that diffuser can go down at seemingly any moment, as he's now swinging in towards Vault, being shot from in front. I think the study rotate, but even then, weird angle it is, how ironic, from the study rotate, and I suppose term goes, how ironic. You die from your own rotation.
Indeed. Yeah, I'll be honest. I mean, again, that was actually pretty good, right? In the sense that Waterloo came in swinging, and Barton, I think, did a really good job of adapting to that. It's just unfortunate that they got to that situation there in the end where it was a little too difficult for them to sort of reverse course. And that does happen sometimes. But again, you're looking for positive takeaways here, and I think that their ability to kind of ruffle the feathers of Waterloo there at the end, especially with such an aggressive strategy, is a positive takeaway indeed. That said, though, obviously Waterloo sitting on match point right now could come in and really put this one to bed, and I would assume, if I was sitting on the side of Barton, that this is going to be another very aggressive assault pattern here, right? Like no holds barred, everybody in, and just rely on that superior gun skill that they've been showing across this Villa to collect these kills before Barton really has an opportunity to react. It's almost like a really swift jab in boxing. You just kind of discombobulate them right at the start, and there's no opportunity to respond.
My vote for Barton at this point for their defensive setup. Most of their operators actually would be correct, but I'm a fan of the trap op setup when a team starts to get a lot of aggression in their favor. So at this point, I would honestly just bring Ella, Frost, Smoke, Legion, Capcan, because you have a combination of giving yourself advantageous gunfights and just straight up killing people without having to look at their general direction. Healthy combination if you're Barton. But Waterloo, they aren't bringing in IQ this time around, even though the EDDs are back on the board. This is an odd operator attacking composition, by the way. A Blackbeard's on the board, so already I want Waterloo to lose the round. And Finka brought in just the same with a spear, just like last round. This is a weird attacking setup, I have to say.
I really do genuinely believe this is a gun skill based comp, and this is what Shaiku's going to show us here. The early rush in with the Ash, get a couple of kills, set it up for the rest of the team. Blackbeard screams that you want 1v1s, right? Like that's what Blackbeard is looking for. And then at the end of it all, the kind of stinger in the Scorpion's tail, you have this Nook, but it barely matters. Shaiku rolling in, collecting kill after kill. Salty Archer trying to come around with the SMG-11. Can he win the 1v1? He can. Shotgun
Frost
comes out right there. They've got one down in a Frost mat, and maybe, just maybe, Barton is able to pull this defense together at the last second. Neymar starts firing. That's just unfair. That's some sort of netcode issue right there for Neymar Jr. He had the sights, the faster fire speed not working out in their favor. Everything down to Salty Archer right here, who pops off a couple of shots from the SMG-11 but won't find it. Rotates around the opposite direction now. Has to play this oh so carefully here with still a lot of time left on the board. Those shots going overhead. Good angle for the SMG-11. Won't find the shots, and again it's the crossfire from Waterloo, and it's a spectacular effort there from Barton, but it is not enough. The Waterloo Warriors come out storming on Villa with a 7-1 victory, and they levitate in their victory poses. That's how powerful they are right now.
The Rainbow Six engine just wants to show how clean of a victory that was for them. That's the start they really needed moving forward, taking over Villa as Oregon's our second map. Oregon always brings chaos. Never is there a consistent game of Oregon at any level of the game, much less in collegiate, especially how high of a level these players are. You'll always see gun skill prevail and, you know, strategies come through a few times, but you can never certainly say how something will come through on a map like that, and Waterloo know that. So they started fairly well at a map they know. Also, a brief note for all of you who are coming from the mainstream of twitch.tv/Rainbow6. Astralis won back-to-back games today, and I'm very happy.
Well, I'm glad you're happy. That's what we're about here. You know, happiness. That's
Anyway, Waterloo, I think, are pretty happy with their own showing, at least starting here. I do think there are some things to learn for them. A little bit more situational awareness or spatial awareness for them would be most required, especially frost mats. You saw the EDDs do a little bit of damage as well. When you get a little overconfident like that, they call it overheating. You never want to overheat, and you can get caught out more often than not when you do. They still played very well. The map as a whole, it's a 7-1 victory, to understate the obvious. But that's something they can work on. Always you want to learn something. I think that's something they can take out of Villa.
Yeah, it's one of the upsides of defeats like this. They are very hard to swallow at the time. Been there, done that. I totally understand. But you can learn a lot from these kind of lessons. And I think that they will definitely, in practice this week, learn a very important lesson about mitigating early aggression. I think that's a very important thing for all teams to learn, and you can tell that they weren't super comfortable with the idea. They're going to be super comfortable with it now. I guarantee you they will learn how to do it better after that, and that is a positive.
Positive notes, hopefully for them. There is still a second map, as this is a best of 3. Speaking of which, our second map is Oregon. When we come back for the break, our second of possibly 3, we'll see if Barton wins it and sends us to border. The University of Waterloo Esports made a Super Bowl commercial as an infomercial saying, "Do you like runouts and spawn peaks? Well, do we have the map for you?" Oregon's our second map, as they will look to drop Barton into maps. Barton, of course, requiring this one to send us to Border. I'm Time to Light, still joined alongside me here is Corbeck for the Champions Division Rainbow Six Siege Week 2 here in the NECC. Corbeck, we've seen Oregon 4,327 times now in the NECC. What are your takes on it?
Yeah, I mean, it is the map, right? And I think for teams that are in this situation, this when I say it is the map, I mean it's one that everybody knows. And I think for teams that are in the situation that Barton is in, that's actually really beneficial, right? Because you put yourself in a position where you're kind of going back to basics. And that's the kind of thing that helps steady the ship after a relatively rough map, right? You get into a map where you're like, hey, everybody knows their roles. We know this is well drilled. Do those fundamentals, use the defender advantage, and put a bit of a stopper on Waterloo's run. I mean, that does kind of cut both ways, right? It's a double-edged sword because Waterloo's knows the map as well. But I think the fact that Barton is starting on a significant advantage for them because the offensive side was super punishing, and Oregon is another very sort of defensively oriented map, much like Villa.
Well, luckily for Barton, they will start on that defensive side. Waterloo, of course, given to the attack. Information, by the way, for Shaiku, BDS actually just won and will play Astralis tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern. Waterloo, on the other side, are forced onto the attack. Now, their attack on paper was better than their defense because they went 2-0 rather than 5-1. Oh, I apparently just spoiled it for him. My bad. But their attacking side, I think, benefits them a little bit more because their aggression can catch Waterloo, or their aggression can catch Barton off guard because of how collapsing and constricting it can become.
Yes, you're right. It can be very constricting, like a giant angry Burmese python or an overly attached girlfriend. It just slowly but surely strangles the life out of you, and you're not allowed to go down to the bar with the boys anymore. And before you know it, it's just downhill. But no, I digress. No, you're totally right. I mean, the aggression that will come out here on the offensive side can be, I think, very potential, like very potent, right? There's a lot of potential there to really slow down a team. I just don't know if Barton is going to be caught off guard by something like that because I think they expect it. And to a certain extent, the lineup that they're running here, to me, actually is very indicative of them expecting it, right? You've got the Malusi with her Banshees. Their whole purpose is to slow people down, quite literally. Dalos with the Kapkan trap, same principle. Punish people for over-aggression. We talked about it on Villa. Same rule applies. You've also got Smoke in here. His entire thing is locking stuff down, slowing down gameplay. So they've got a lot of tools in the chest here that they can use to slow the attack down. They just can't let someone like Shaiku come in, and there you go. The first Kapkan trap's already doing its job, slowing the roll here of the Ash that's coming in and basically holding them now in a bit of a position. This is not a fun place for that Ash player to be.
No, and you're being constricted upon, speaking of which, by Neymar Jr. walking up Armory stairs. And there's already a punch hole created inside of Master. I lied. They're walking up basement stairs. How ironic, sitting in that garage side, just waiting for Neymar Jr. to walk out. Either of them waiting for the other sound cue. The problem is, I think How Ironic is moving a little bit more than the Jaeger sitting right next to them, and Salty Archer playing behind a little bit of prevention of their own. Dalos gets a Pokeball kill. I did not have that one on my NECC bingo card.
Yeah, I didn't have that one either. That's first impact kill I think I've seen in a long time. Really well played. And hey, look, there's Neymar Jr. getting in on the action as well. No Pokeball involved. He doesn't want to keep that one. That's okay. He'll let it back out into the wild. Subin now pushing up. Subin gets distracted. Perfectly done by Salty Archer. So lucky to catch Subin when he was looking down at the ground. A bit of a bold move there from the zero, and it did not pay off. Now you have Unistruggle trying to get in. Slate attempted to come from a different angle and back them up. The problem here is the Waterloo are not going to be able to play the trade game of one another, and that could have some very negative consequences. They basically have to take a series of 1v, as it were. Neymar goes for the wide swing, takes out the Iana clone, and now in a bit of an unpleasant position himself. Dalos getting winged right there, but Unistruggle paid significantly in terms of health for that exchange, and it does seem like the Waterloo train has run a little bit out of gas.
Oh yeah, the swing perfect from Dallas, even on low HP, still proactive in their play. And Slate now to 1v5. I've seen easier positions, especially clutch positions for Waterloo in the past. This one, not the most advisable of positions to be in. They have to walk through utility upon utility upon utility, whether it's Banshees, EDDs, or the impacts that still exist for Urfi on the board. There's also a flank coming up that Armory stairs, by the way, albeit a little late, but it exists nonetheless. There's the impact from below. It does all of 25 damage. Inconsequential, to say the very least, but that Toxic Babe, that should basically end the round. 15 seconds of efficacy, and with just 10 seconds left, no easy way in. Slate, I think, is going to advisably save the KD and walk away with a first round loss here for Waterloo, the first time they will be losing in this series.
Operators, you are out of time.
That was really well done, actually. A very solid defense by Barton. And, you know, the interesting thing about it is we talked the idea of constriction, right? And the idea that Waterloo was going to use their aggression to put Barton in a difficult position. And to a certain extent, they actually did that. If you went back over that round, I think you would see that the Barton defense was remarkably compact, right? Like they were playing in a pretty tight spacing, but it actually really worked for them. They limited kind of the number of avenues of attack. They weren't playing the game that Waterloo likes to play, which is kind of these 1v1s out in space. They were all sort of playing off of each other, using their utility as well to give them an edge in gunfights. I thought that was a really, really solid defensive round. They should be super happy with that, and I'm going to be curious to see if they can actually pull that off again now that we're going down to basement. They have a very similar lineup, and that makes me think that similar concepts will apply here and put a lot of pressure on Waterloo to kind of counteract that. But if you look over on the Waterloo side, they're already taking steps, right? They're bringing the Rateros. Great choice for countering out the utility that Barton likes to use. Actually, a Twitch might have been even better, but that's neither here nor there. They've got the Jackal in there. They've got Hibana, the Dokai beat. Again, another really good character for just helping in those kind of tense situations. So this promises to be a really interesting round, and it might set the tenor for the rest of this map.
I appreciate the round as well from Barton because they adjusted after the previous map. They were still playing trap ops last map on the defensive side for the 2 rounds they were on the defense, but they were still playing aggressive. And you were talking about it earlier, we had that conversation, Turtle versus aggro. Turtle prevailed there for Barton, and they did it off the back of adjustments, which is exactly what they needed to come back into this series. That's a good start. Even better Flores drone there for Subin. Clears out a lot of utility, and even better positioning. Salty Archer in the first 20 seconds of the round already forced to put up that dirt reinforcement. Pretty good start to return here for Waterloo.
Yeah, that's a good opening. You're entirely correct. Clearing out the elbow joint that quickly is good stuff. And they've got a little bit of insight here, too, onto where these captain traps are, especially that one that's coming out of bunker. Immediately, though, running into a black mirror, that's going to be pretty much impossible for them to deal with Rateros. It's just not easily done, which is why I was saying I think a Twitch might have actually been kind of more advantageous because there is an option to deal with those Rateros. But, again, the bet has been made, so now you have to lie in it, and I'll be honest, Unistruggle running a very intense site. I rarely see that one in use, so props to them for being able to wield that on their secondary. Now they just have to start getting these hatches open. Basically, the challenge here for Waterloo is going to be opening as many angles of attack as possible, right? They want to make Barton feel distinctly uncomfortable in these really tight defensive positions that they like to run, and you can already begin to see that ticking up here time just by the way that the mirror is playing. Neymar Jr. being forced to keep guessing now about where enemies are. Love the position on Dalos Jr. right there, or Dalos actually. Don't think it's going to work out, but I do think it's a very good idea to push up. He might have actually been misdroned, no joke.
That's a hope, at least for Barton. Misdrone's always a conversation point when you come to comfortability, because you say, oh yeah, this position's clear. Obviously, doesn't become the case. Urfi still just waiting inside a freezer. No aggression really required here from Barton. Time is on their side. There's still a minute on that clock. I'm a toaster. Nice shot. Finding one. Urfi is still just sitting there. Smoke is up. There's a decent bit of damage onto Slate. There's the damage. Should be the kill. Follow up. It is indeed, but with the RG-15 and a 5v2 for Waterloo. Barton coming out of the gate swinging, completely different from our previous map.
Absolutely eating this attack alive here from Waterloo. They've got nothing in the tank. Talk about missed drone. I mean, there's definitely missed opportunities. Still a 4v2, infinitely winnable. No, says I'm a toaster. Salty Archer doubles down on it. And hello, Barton. I guess they just needed that defender advantage because they are slapping Waterloo around.
What we've learned thus far from our series start is that the series is just defender sided. So third map, I think, comes down to, what is it, round differential on who gets defensive side, or is that determined prior? Either way, whoever starts on the defensive side.
We'll
border,
check.
because
We'll check with the rules person.
By the rules expert, he means
the lore book.
Brett. Peak, if you could like totally check on that for us, you should. Yeah. Thank you. But whoever starts on defense on border, because at this point it's basically a certainty. We should guarantee who set thing. Oh, hold up. I forgot. At the NECC, it's random. So it's the luck of the draw. Hold up. We have the draw of the map ban. Let's take a look.
Boy. Cast on the cool winds of fate there. That's rough considering both these teams.
You ready for the
shown.
verdict?
Yeah, who is it?
The verdict, ... as he still hasn't opened up the link, as it's now loading. Barton starts defense on border. So Barton wins the series 2-1, calling it now.
Ooh, that could be very advantageous. I mean, let's be honest. Okay, we don't want to put the cart before the horse. Barton definitely doing a good job. Like, they're doing great. This is good. They're winning the gunfights. They're playing these defensive setups really well. But they are on a tertiary bomb site now. It's a little bit more difficult. There's not a lot of vertical control for them, which I think is the immediately worrying thing as an outside observer. Neymar Jr. up there on the Legion, that's not an operator I consider to be a strong vertical control op, though I do like the positioning of those goo mines. Small tower has been sacrificed, though, and that could be very problematic. I also worry about the smoke positioning because he is a little bit out on his own there, and I don't know that he's going to get a fair amount of backup to hold that spot. But I trust Barton. I think they have a pretty good idea of how they want to defend this map. They obviously feel comfortable with it. Let's see what they can do. That is a position from Uni struggle. I've not seen that played recently, but here becomes the problem for Salty Archer. Has to be very careful they don't get caught looking here. This is wild. This is like an extension of the elbow that you would see on Basement, but it's being played in Shower with the smoke instead. That's kind of funky.
I actually love this strategy because it allows you for some, if not any, horizontal extension as you please without having to fully invest yourself in a small tower. And Salty Archer actually finds the opening kill on Suvan, no less. One of the VIPs here for the attacking side, the other most notably, is How Ironic, because they're on that Thermite. And the big start, especially here for Barton on the defensive side, taking out that shield, taking out any semblance of what would be control, but there's the exothermic charge from above, creating a very healthy head hole across to possibly clear out the far side of sight.
Exactly what I was talking about, actually, right there, Time. And Dalos did fall prey to an attack from above, which, again, I was talking about not controlling small tower, and there's a reason why you see so many teams extend out to that. Oh, that's just unfortunate. Good, actually, really good read right there. I will give credit where credit is due. Great read by Salty Archer to try and come out and challenge that, knowing that the check was going on. Probably heard that coming in. Now the flashes are coming back. He's got to run. That's the second exothermic being placed down. Slade trying to get very aggressive on the back of this. Good play from the smoke here, just trying to slow it down. Kills How Ironic with a smoke canister. Are you kidding me? Look at Barton come alive. Complete destruction of the Waterloo Warriors attack. They die right outside. Wow, that's crazy. What a good round for Barton.
How in the world did Salty Archer stay alive as well? Just dipping and diving feels like the Matrix at this point. And Barton walk away with a tertiary bomb site victory. I gotta say, I'm gonna be honest with you here, Corbeck. I did not like the lack of verticality on their setup, because giving over small tower control, that's not the worst thing in the world. It's giving away that master bedroom and dorms main hall. That's really where I draw concerns, because when you give up the combination of the two, crossfires can be more than deadly. But Barton adjusted around it. They got a little aggressive when required, found an opening pick, and followed it up with Salty Archer just fragging out, doing that, and just apparently avoiding shots, because that's now been added into the game. And Waterloo dropping 3 in a row. Uncharacteristic for the team that thus far, in totality this season, has dropped 8 rounds overall. Granted, 3 of them are now in this map.
That ended so quickly too. I wasn't even really able to fully capture it. It was just good. I mean, oh, Dallas, careful there, buddy. Don't want to get kneecapped by your own team at the moment of victory, of all things. But I must say, I didn't actually expect them to pull that off quite that well. But they really, I mean, just kind of ate Waterloo up. Just and the best part of it was just really good heads-up play, right? Like, making good decisions. Like Salty Archer, who's playing Smoke again this round, has been playing a spectacular Smoke. I mean, probably genuinely one of the better Smokes I've seen in collegiate, you know, at NECC. So credit where credit is due. Looking over at the Waterloo side, I'm not sure what the adaptation is to be here, really. Like, I don't know what they need to do exactly. I think that they have been playing a little fast and loose time, which I can't blame them for necessarily based on what happened on Villa. But I think they need to realize that the age of fast and loose is over, and that's a perfect illustration of my point. That's a perfect illustration. Why are you pumping rounds into the wall? You know, you gotta acknowledge, you gotta put a little bit of respect on the name here. Good play though from Shaiku doing the solo breach thing from below there to open this up for the hard breacher. And this is a very coordinated attack. So other than losing their Iana early on, Waterloo getting all the things that they need to in order to really make this work.
Oh, the impact trick works though, so it's really only head holes, and that's 2 Selmas down. You're down to just 1, and Dalos re-aggressing, finds one onto Shaiku, and does an extra 60 damage onto Uni. Granted, 20 of that's nullified by the Adrenal Surge, but still impactful conversation, and I think that Selma missed. There's not a fully walkable hole there. You'll have to crouch below it. That is not good for Waterloo. They have brought it back somewhat in terms of damage, and they've given themselves some avenue of attack onto the site, but it's not the greatest one. There's that crouch hole you have to walk through. Uni does bring a kill back, though, and it's only 1.
Now, that was not exactly what they were looking for, I'll be honest. And now you're in a 4v2 situation, and the woes here on the offensive half just continue. I am a toaster taking the kill on Subin. That leaves How Ironic. Could get a headshot there. That bullet just didn't land. No fair. I call shenanigans. Definitely some sort of connectivity issues. Will finish it off. Urfi, though. How Ironic, unfortunately, inhaling a huge amount of unknown chemical compounds. No good for him. As How Ironic now shifting across, just trying to hold out. I mean, I'll say it's not unwinnable. It's just highly likely that it won't be a win, but I've seen stranger things happen. Good effort right there, trying to get the flashes in, just getting eaten alive by those pre-planted ADSs. Here comes the swing, and Neymar Jr., who's hit their stride mightily, just waiting for it, gets the good adaptation and kills. So Barton Esports continuing their run here on the defense. The Cougars looking mighty fierce, all things considered.
I appreciate the small intricacies of that round as well. The final frag there for Neymar Jr. They were playing anti-flash while also covering that master rotate in. And as soon as that third flash goes off, because the first 2 were caught by those ADSs, they knew that Salty Archer was caught off. Could not see a thing because the flash went away. So instead, to still cover that same door and cover their teammate just the same, Neymar Jr. is there, finds the frag, finds the round to close out for Barton. It got a little bit closer than I think they would have liked, but it is clean enough with 3 players staying alive and now a 4-0 scoreline. They'll head back down to their secondary bomb site, that being the bottom floor. Granted, the top and bottom are basically interchangeable in how favored they are, but it's pretty positive thus far for Barton. They're looking good to start off forward.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they're pretty good, right? I mean, we're not just starting off anymore either. Tier time, we're pretty deep in, right? We're round 5. They've been fending off the Waterloo Warriors quite efficiently, and I think they're probably going to continue to do so. Slate coming out here on the Twitch, I think that's a genuinely good pick for Waterloo. They should be able to kind of maximize the value of those Twitch drones. The Zero, an interesting choice as well. I do actually just really like how drone heavy this composition is, in the sense that you have both a Twitch and the Roteros. It clearly means that Barton, or Waterloo, I guess, is putting a lot of value on Barton's util, right? They clearly think that the util is what's winning them these rounds, and I don't think they're necessarily entirely off the mark there. Look at that. Great elbow clear very early on. That's exactly what you want to see. Now it's just a matter of opening up things completely here into bunker, and that might not even be the strat. Now that I look at it, I think Suvin might just be playing a really elaborate distraction.
That strat, by the way, works out nearly perfectly for them because it forces Barton to at least focus on what has been control given up a little bit more. And now Waterloo can flex in different directions, making sure there's less resistance on those sides, while still being able to have that dirt rotation as an avenue of attack should it be required. I appreciate the level of how many different options they're giving themselves. And you were talking about the 0 on the board. At least eliminating some utility it can't hurt. Let's put it that way. So Waterloo maybe giving up some fragging power in terms of weaponry, but more than making up for it in terms of removing weaponry and utility on that defensive side.
Indeed. Dalos here holding up, playing down by Pillar. The first Rotero coming across right there gets eaten alive. They've actually not had a ton of success getting those Roteros in the positions they need to be. Dalos taking a healthy little chunk of damage right there, not having the advantage in this rather awkward gunfight with Shaiku. Needs to play it a little bit more carefully. Wins it? Okay, well, go ahead and prove me then wrong, my good man. Well done indeed. Shaiku maybe got a little too hungry. That's an unfortunate situation for how ironic. I'm not sure exactly what happened. The poor man gets down. And now another round here for Waterloo Warriors, where they just have not been able to get their attack off the ground. And the adaptations that they're trying to make are just not working out for them right now. And that's a real shame here, Time, because it's not like they're putting, they're not putting in the effort. They definitely are. They just can't seem to find the secret sauce here. Maybe they'll get a bit of an advantage when this turns around.
They have to walk in, however, it's a C4 thrown forward and a flawless round victory there for them. Perfectly timed C4 at that. 5-0 on Oregon. You blink and you miss it. If I told you that the score was 5-0 in Oregon after our 7-1 finish on Villa, I don't think you would have been shocked. But if I told you it was 5-0 for Barton, I think it would have raised a few eyebrows.
Oh, 100%. It's kind of crazy, actually, honestly, that there's been such a serious reversal. And I don't say that as a knock against Barton. It's not that I doubted their abilities. They're obviously a hard fighting team, right, based on their previous week's scoreline. It's more that you just usually don't see such dramatic reversals. And it does actually speak really well to Barton that they had the mental fortitude to swing back into this. And like I said, sometimes you get over to Oregon, it's a comfort map. It really is. You fall back in the positions, you know what you need to do. And I think that's exactly what's happened here for Barton State Esports. The problem for Waterloo is that I think that they should have been a little bit more adaptable here. They're obviously working on it. I just am at a point where I'm a little struggling, Time, because I just don't know what the recommendation I would give here is to clean this up. I just am not sure what it is, because it feels like they're right things. They just can't quite confirm a lot of these gunfights, which is the exact opposite problem of what they were having on the last map.
Click heads for him. That's how you win this Waterloo. In all reality, that's about as accurate as things could have gotten. They're not doing anything wrong strategy-wise. It is Barton setting themselves up for success, Waterloo trying to remove some of that setup, but still not peeling away every layer of the onion, and then Barton still winning a lot of the gunfights later on because of whatever setup they have later on. Slate holding a long angle towards that dining door, Dalos on the other side of that, but the opening goes the way of Waterloo, one of the first opening kills they've picked up since this map has started. Pretty good start if they want to bring this half back to at least what Barton had to face in the previous map.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the shadow that's looming over this entire game, I will be honest, is the sense that the sides are going to swap. And what I meant when I said I wonder if they'll, start winning again when things turn around, is when they have the defensive advantage. Barton, they're not going to have to win a ton of rounds, but they are going to have to win rounds. And based on how they did in the office on the last map, that could not necessarily be super easy. I say that though, and how ironic, just gets taken out at the knees right there. So a good down, and that'll be the diffuser out of it as well until they go and get a revive. Neymar obviously a little frustrated at the end of that, but playing off the cams as he should be. Good. Keeping an eye on things, and a great kill from Dalos. Reads it, swings out, picks up Slate, who was distracted. Really well done. Again, these are the kind of plays that I love to see coming out of Barton. Heads up, using their advantage on the defense to its maximum effect. Salty Archer is still stalling them out in the bathroom, and Waterloo does not have an answer to this.
Barton is employing the Waterloo attacking strategy from the previous map, now on their own defense. It is throwing so many different avenues of attack at them that they cannot watch a single angle and be safe from any at any time. And it's working out perfectly at this point. They're down to the final minute. A follow-up breach will be used from above. That'll open up all the head holes possible, but you can't make an easy avenue of attack in if you don't have all the walkable holes you require. Now a 4 versus 2. Salty Archer is DBNO to follow up from Shaiku, their first kill of the map, exactly when required, but Suvin caught with their legs poking out. It's Shaiku in a 1 versus 3. They may be able to pick up Salty Archer on that smoke, considering the Banshee's been taken out, but Shaiku doesn't even have diffuser in hand. There's a sound cue of them trying to pick up the smoke, now being taken care of. A follow-up, at least damage onto I'm a Toaster, but not the guarantee by any means. The swing past the CCTV rotate, Shaiku ends up throwing out a drone, but they may end up being caught from that security side. I'm a Toaster still waiting inside of showers, and that ends up being Shaiku's downfall. A flawless half to open up the Oregon defense for Barton. They will have 6 consecutive rounds to send it to border.
Wow. Well, I mean, you can't ask for a much better situation like that for Barton. Very, very much swinging the other way here. Waterloo taking over the defense. The problem, though, as I was saying, it could change. When they take over the defensive side, but you are on a razor's edge. I mean, quite literally doesn't get any more challenging than this for the side of Waterloo. You can't drop a single round. You just can't drop a single round, and that is a very hard spot to be in. Because even a broken clock is right twice a day, no matter how difficult the offense is. We'll see what they can muster. The thing is, and this is where I start to worry a little bit about Waterloo, if I'm being honest with you here, time. They play so aggressively on the defense. I do appreciate that, and it worked out really well for them on Villa. But when you're in a situation where you're on a match point and you literally can't mess up a single round, that kind of aggressive play can really backfire, because if you go a man down early on because your run out didn't work, you're a man down. You're giving the enemy team a significant advantage on a match point round.
Overaggression can very easily cost you if you're Waterloo, but on the flip side of that same coin, overaggression is basically what won them 5 of 6 rounds back on Villa, so you have to flip it and hope it lands on a W, assuming the other side's obviously an L. And Barton at this point, they can just play comfortably. They have a very large cushion to work with, and Slate is already on 60 HP. Not the greatest of starts.
Nope, that's not what you like to see. Unfortunately, I don't know. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's definitely not how you'd want this to start off. There's that aggression coming out early on, a couple of little sort of attempted peeks out the master bedroom door, and instead Shaiku is just going to fall back. He's lost some health there as well, so those early pickups not happening, and this gives an opportunity for Barton to just close this out slowly but surely. As the way it goes. I'm a Toaster entering in here now, going to run face first into Shaiku. We won't necessarily see the tail end of that gunfight. Here it is. 2 ADSs on deck there to slow down a potential attack. I am a Toaster 5000, sitting on an 8-0. As here comes Shaiku rotating around. Toaster swings. Neymar Jr. gets the kill in there as well. And immediately, the 2 wounded members of Waterloo are done and dusted. And there's a good attempt at coming back here. Uni Struggle trying to even it up. Gets one back the opposite direction. Uni Struggle gets 2, playing out of his mind on the Kaid to keep his team in. There's still good crossfire angle being established here from How Ironic, as slowly Neymar Jr. sneaks up the stairs there, activates the Hell presence at the top, and here we go. The Aliana surging forward with that Gemini clone, getting a good scout in, and that'll give him a good heads up onto the remaining 3 members of Waterloo and where they're hiding.
Neymar doesn't have a sound cue of reloading that FMG9. I'm not sure if they're going to be noted on that top white stairs position. With the Gemini Replicator coming in from the trophy side, Waterloo should expect a 2-pronged attack, but Unistruggle is aware of at least the possibility. Still looking around towards that white stair side. Urfi still on the main balcony watching towards that double window. Assist from Dalos now coming up master side, but the problem is it is so far delayed. Waterloo has 1 player watching every single avenue of attack here for the Barton attack, and they need to at least find a single opening kill. There's the sound cue bait, and it works out perfectly. Neymar Jr., a first, a second as well, a 3K on the round, looking for a fourth, will find that just the same. Barton make it a flawless map, much less a flawless half, off the back of masterful team play and a little bit of sound cue bait to close out Oregon.
Wow. That's really something, Ty. That's amazing. What a map from Barton. What a map. You could not have asked for anything better out of your team after coming off a bit of a drubbing. They got it shellacked pretty hard, and they shellack right back. So wonderful play from Barton. I'm genuinely fascinated to see how Border goes now, because they are starting on the defense, like you said, and they just showed a lot of potential on the defense. So this is going to be an interesting map for sure.
And notably, we're heading to Border. Through our first 2 maps of play, we've played 15 rounds. I've seen 15-round singular maps, and we are still not done. Our third map's Border. Decider is on the cards to determine whether this is going the distance, in terms of maybe even OT, or if it's another trouncing. We'll find out after the break.
Hello, ladies and
I hate
gentlemen,
you.
and welcome
I
back
hate you so much.
to me and my host, who we were protecting for witness purposes. We needed to change your voice as well, a couple of octaves. There you go. The mystery man there alongside me, and an exciting matchup here between Waterloo and I gotta say, I'm so shocked that it's Waterloo Barton Esports. Barton Esports got hit up pretty bad on Villa, and they have come back in a big way here, time. And I mean in a major way, a flawless victory on Oregon, leading us into a very intriguing and I would say exciting decider here on Border.
I have to say, I'm actually really excited for this third map because everybody's played Villa. Everybody's played Oregon probably way too many times. Whether it be in your ranked games because nobody likes to play new maps, or if it's here in competitive because also, surprisingly enough, nobody likes to play new maps. But here on Border, not really new anymore, considering it's been in the map pool, at least competitive-wise, for just about a calendar year. I'd like to see Barton come out of the gates with a little bit of aggression. They are starting off on the defensive side, similar to that of Oregon. And the aggression early on worked a little bit for them, but overall, they turtled most of it. I'd like to see a little bit of a switch up, because if Waterloo's anything like they showed back on Villa, they're a very adjustable team. So if you continue that same type of play, especially on a map such small as Border, it may cost you more often than not.
Yeah, Border is an interesting case because as I was talking to our observer here in the break, he pointed out it's 14-1 in favor of defenders. So on paper, looking at Barton, you're thinking, okay, well, Barton will ace this then, right? Because they're on the defensive side. That's what they're going to start. The issue here, though, is that I don't think Border is as strong of a defensive map as either Oregon or Villa. I just don't think it is. You made a good point. It's not as well known. It's a little bit more out there as a pick. The sites are not as strong. Therefore, I think there's much more opportunity here for Waterloo to create, space for themselves, to create chances for them to win this map if they can find it. The issue probably is going to be something akin to what faced Barton at the start of Oregon, which is sort of a mental bounce back. They were very confident coming into Oregon. Their confidence was punctured like a balloon. And now you kind of have to build yourself back up and come back into this and remind yourself that you are a very good team and this is very winnable.
Well,
Attackers need to
powerful
locate
position
and defuse
for
as many
Barton
bombs
to
as
be
they
in.
can.
Both teams have now started on the defensive side of one of the maps, and both teams have won the map in which they started on that defensive side. Barton has the advantage of that defense, but Border's really that conversation of it can go either way. Since watching the Six Invitational a little bit recently, I have seen that the attacking side's a little bit more favored, but that's a little bit of a different level, let's be honest with ourselves. I think it's going to be about even. We should see 3-2 or 4-2, 3-3s more often than not. And I especially think with the playstyle of Waterloo, that should be the case
10
here.
seconds left.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assumption to make.
5
I
seconds
do.
left before insertion.
Again, it all comes down to how much
Attackers' objective
you
is to
think the
locate the bomb.
defense is going to be able to play well on a map they may not be familiar with. Like, this is one of the interesting things I think about defender advantage, right? And it's a well-known fact in Siege. Everybody knows that defenders have an advantage, and it's understandable why. I just never know how much we should factor the idea of map knowledge into defender advantage, right? Because one of the advantages defender has is being able to play parts of the map that they know well enough that they can kind of take advantage of it, and that's sort of what was happening there on our last map. That said, I mean, Salty Archer already got lit up a bit here. This is a good position for a Black Mirror, I will say, but you are at the risk of getting caught in a crossfire if you don't get a kill off of either of these doors, right? You have to kill somebody here to open this up, or you're kind of split a little bit, and you have to worry about it a lot more extensively. We'll see if they can sort of use this to slow down the attack. One of the things that really hurt them, I think, on Oregon was the fact that Waterloo was not able to play at the tempo that they wanted to play at the time. They just couldn't go fast enough. And a lot of these defensive positions are intentionally built to slow them down.
I was about to say that. That's exactly what Barton is prepping. I was going to bring up the conversation of possibly seeing Waterloo walk up metal or take security and maybe cover off Fountain from that same side. But there's actually a reinforcement behind Salty Archer on that Fountain wall towards the top of metal to make sure he's covered from just about every angle other than 3 at this point, now that Slate has created a third. It is the office window, the office door, and across all the way around towards that main office wall. Dallas finds the opener. How ironic, is taken out first here on border, but there is a return. The cap can taken care of just the same. That's a C4 off the board and a big return there for Waterloo.
Big return indeed, and the situation growing increasingly tight here. The window getting burst, or broken, I guess I should say. Salty Archer having to continue to play off that position, but now maybe not having the ability to fall back as easily. Interesting that Neymar Jr. is down here kind of unmarked, right, on the low ground. I don't think they necessarily know that they're there, but I'm a toaster getting killed early. That could be problematic. Good kill from Salty Archer, immediate trade from Slate, and this is more akin to what we want to see here from Waterloo. A little bit more pacey, a little bit more aggressive, able to play off these trades as well and actually win these gunfights. Neymar Jr., to their credit, not really able to do much from down here. That floor is not destructible, so the C4 comes sailing up. It gets destroyed. Diffuser is down. And now all the pressure here really on Urfi to try and turn this around with these angles, because Neymar Jr. on that re-armor operator is going to take a while to get back into an advantageous position, I spoke so too. Slate gets gunned down immediately. And here comes Urfi leaning across the front, both of them stacked up together, launching an assault on the bomb site. I don't know that they're going to be able to do this. 20 seconds left. They have to play the role of attackers here. They don't have the kit to do it. Comes out swinging, carbine firing, gets the kill, gets the other kill. Amazing play from Barton. And again, they're just touched. They've got the golden touch time. They'll go ahead and get the diffuser down as well, and they win a round that they had no right to win.
Defenders win.
They had no business coming on top of that. I was going to say Slate's been hitting the aim lab, shooting C4s out of thin air. This round's done and dusted. There's 3 separate angles they have to deal with. Good first swing from Neymar Jr. Able to drop Slate first. That at least gave them some semblance of time. Because if Neymar Jr. takes any more than 2-3 seconds with that frag, you're probably looking at a Waterloo round win. The question I have for Waterloo is why swing? You were in such a good position. You would set yourself up for so much success, just like Barton did back on Oregon, and then you look to take frags that you really didn't have to. There were 5 seconds between them having to hop on the defuse and you winning, and Barton are able to exploit very small mistakes from Waterloo and walk away with a round victory.
Attackers need to
Well
locate
done
and
to
defuse
them,
the bomb.
honestly. It's always so difficult in those kind of situations, especially when the attackers have set up sort of a defensive position. Those aren't bad angles for the attackers to hold. Barton just getting the kills that they need to turn that around. That said, it was a close run thing. Waterloo had the right pieces in play. They played that quite well up until that very end scenario. And that is the primary bomb site. You will not get to go back there again for a while. I don't think these other bomb sites are quite this strong. This particular site that they're on here, it can be kind of difficult, right? Like this is a challenging one, especially against a team that likes to play aggro. I like the positioning that Dallas is doing, putting these captain traps up here on the top floor in some very solid spots to sort of slow down a vertical hold. But honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if Waterloo tries to brute force this without worrying too much about verticality. I think that could very much be in the cards. That said, drone on the top floor implies to me time that, nope, I think they're going to do it.
Oh, and Delos is just waiting near jail as well. This could be a very negative connotation setup here for Waterloo if they don't correctly drone Delos out. This could also be a bait. They may end up walking in on the other side, taking him out of contention. It's a whole host of possibilities here for Waterloo, and it seems to be a third option, that being open it and then just walk away and not care about it for a little bit of time. Appreciate that, just to make sure that Delos is being kept honest and still has to worry about many different angles all at the same time, while also possibly being contested with up above.
It creates a permanent like burr in the thought process, right? That doesn't go away. It's like a little bit of grit in there. You kind of have to think about it. If you go and you leave it, it's an opening that's undefended. So not a bad play, just more like using util to basically lock an operator down. for lack of a better term. The only thing is, does that hold when Waterloo begins to show their hand? Good kill from Shaiku here. Dalos, the one who was watching it, got beat out in that gunfight, so it's kind of a moot point. And now, slowly but surely, Waterloo can begin to close the ring here onto this Barton side. They're trying to do it. Neymar finds the kill on the Shaiku, though, and breaks the ring again. Vertical control does seem to be in the hands of Waterloo, but they've only got a minute and 20 seconds. They're about halfway through the round. They've got the positioning that they need to a certain extent. They actually have to make something of this vertical control, and those kind of brave plays where you're trying to catch somebody out to the floor with a drone, I just don't know if that's the way you're going to do it.
They have to go, and they have about a minute, which is a lot in the grand scheme of things, especially with now a follow-up kill onto I'm a Toaster. But the problem is, there's still a decent bit of utility left over here for the Barton defense. All 3 toxic babes, 45 seconds of toxicity there for that defensive setup. And if you look at how they're set up, it is from so many different angles. The Jaeger around towards the square entrance. Salty Archer on that smoke is sitting inside that bathroom rotate, while Neymar Jr. is so far removed from the site, it's like he's still on Oregon.
It is, and Salty Archer, I mean, playing kind of now back in the bomb site, that's okay. I mean, this is where you kind of want that smoke to be, but it's not a spectacular position in the sense that it can be quite divided and where your attentions are going to go. I like this maneuver coming out of Neymar Jr. here, and Salty Archer proves me wrong yet again and gets the kill. Here's the drop down coming out of Uni, who is just going to go ahead and plant. And I think that's a wise decision. I actually think they're only picking up on this a little bit late. Oh, just walking across is how ironic. Uni still fighting it out.
Operators, you are
Run out of time. Yikes. Again, though, a very close round time. A very close round going Barton's way there. Waterloo had the chance to possibly win that. Jeez, this has turned into one heck of a game here on this final map.
Round after round, you see 1v1, 2v1s, whatever the heck that ended up being, a 1.5v1, I suppose, as time expired with a DBNO coming through. But Barton again played it well. They were adjusting around the setup that Waterloo brought, and instead of playing immediately active, they played a little bit further back. A turtle setup later on in the round after a little bit more of an aggressive setup early, with only regards to Neymar Jr. as the caveat to that conversation, while Neymar Jr. was creating chaos, whether it was on the far side towards jail or up above. You saw the help still there. And even with that run across, as you mentioned, it was playing around their man advantage and the time advantage. Even if Uni finds that first kill, which in all fairness he does, and the second, which in all fairness he almost did with a DBNO, there's still not enough time to either A, get the third kill, or B, get the diffuser down without that third player encroaching upon you, with no way for you to win that round. So Barton, while yes, they quote-unquote made it close, it was still a sound way of winning the round with almost a 100% win rate finish. It's exactly how you need to confirm those round victories as you continue to go on what is now a 9-round win streak going back to the beginning.
10 seconds left.
That's a very good point. I hadn't even thought about the fact that they're on a 9-round win streak. Technically, yeah, even with that break, well done indeed. I mean, it's a tertiary bomb site. Again, I'll say it one more time. I don't know that these bomb sites lend an awful lot of an advantage to defenders. This one in particular, I always find to be super awkward. Part of the problem, though, on the last map, Waterloo got vertical control relatively quickly. There was not a lot of challenge there, right? Waterloo picked it up. They had the good position. They just weren't able to do anything with it. And if they're going to do that again, I really think they need to make something happen from the top deck. I'm glad that Slate is on Sledge because you've got the frags. Those can be very valuable from that top-down position, and that's exactly what Slate is building up to right here. I would almost be tempted, and I think they're going to do it, to send Shaiku in with the Sledge so they can both use frags from above down onto this bomb site, find out where they're holding on the defense and make them pay for it. If you could get even one frag kill here, you'd be opening things up, though. Instead, it's a gun kill from Slate. So, hey, you know, still counts. Good use of the verticality right there to actually make a play.
You know, you and I were talking about you casting Overwatch previously, somewhat recently. I didn't know we'd be seeing Pharah come through, as Justice has now reigned from above. Waterloo with that opening kill, obviously, instead of it being explosives or missiles in the obvious case of Pharah, it's instead just guns and maybe a few extra nades if required later. A lot of this vertical control, though, has forced Barton either completely off the site around bathroom / the entrance of square, or at this point now across towards the outside of site itself. And Waterloo has all of ventilation to themselves, or all of workshop to themselves. Most of ventilation if they really want it. And there's not a whole lot that Barton can do about it. They don't have a C4 anymore. They have those 3 toxic babes, but their smoke is next to the main door. That's not close enough if they want it. This is a pretty good setup for Waterloo, but remember, they still have to find the kills, and that's been their department of lack thus far in this map.
But this is kind of running into the same situation where I was talking about, where they have good control over the verticality. They've got all the pieces in place that they need. They still have frag grenades in the tank. They've got all 4 of them left to use, but they can't seem to figure out what to do now that they've found map control. And this is something that clearly, like, you know, they've talked about this because they have a good strategic concept. It's just that they can't seem to kind of finish it off. And I hope that no matter what the result of this game is, they have an opportunity to kind of discuss this amongst one another, because some of these defensive hold spots, well done by Dalos. We were talking about aggressive. Dalos picks it up right there and does what needs to be done. Here comes Salty Archer, also playing incredibly aggressive into the smoke cloud to get the kill right there. Prevents the defuse from going down. Slate gets picked up as well. And the members of Barton, they are out for blood and out for vengeance here. Here comes the counter push by a couple members of Waterloo. It's all down to Uni Struggle at the end, and Salty Archer just cleans it up with the shotgun. And the proud members of Barton Esports are staging another defensive stand here on border.
A 3K there from Salty Archer, and the setup was even there to return from Barton. While yes, we were talking about them being completely removed from the site, by no means were they there in terms of utility. They did not have immediate line of sight to deal with it. They had information, and that for them was enough. The vault in on the ventilation window will give your outline to any hold coming from the far side of workshop. That's the angle we saw earlier from the Jaeger of Urfi, and that information can then be relayed. Salty Archer can swing off of it and find a kill, utility placement, or in that case, the combination of both. They take the site, they take control of the diffuser, and the man advantage at that case, because they took 2 kills for nil and were in a 4v3. They ended up walking away with a 3v0 and a very clean round victory.
We're getting in sort of do or die time here for Waterloo. That's just the harsh truth of this situation time. Like, this is getting into it, right? Round number 4. Ideally, you want to go into a defensive half with a 3-3. Right? Like, I mean, ideally you want to go with, you know, as much as you got, right? But a 3-3 is kind of where I always put sort of the kind of equilibrium point. You start past that, okay, things are getting pretty ugly. You can maintain a 3-3. That's not good, not bad. That's kind of the best you can hope for in a lot of situations. This is, I would put it close to the category of a must-win round. The problem is that this is a primary bomb site. Like, this is the place that you want to defend. But that said, Waterloo got very close. They got very close last time. And the defensive setup is very similar from Barton this time around. Should theoretically give an advantage to Waterloo in the sense that they should know where things are to counteract it. This is tense. This is a tense one. I won't bandy it about. This is a very important round.
Bomb located by attackers.
The importance of which really can't be understated, because even if Barton find only one more round, they walk away with a half lead and a lot of control that honestly otherwise they wouldn't have had. And Barton employing that open map setup as their thought processes stay a little bit consistent at this point. You can see I appreciate it. They really just want to play the mirror window as much as possible. Usually that far wall is actually just full soft and full closed, but instead this case obviously not the case. And Waterloo trying to bring something to deal with the aggressions come through early. Lion on the board uses one of the 3 EE1Ds and finds nothing but thin air.
Well, that's a rough start. Good kill from Uni Struggle right there. And this is good aggression. They're just taking it right up the gut, getting the speed out of the Ash. Uni Struggle getting another one, and this is perfect. This is exactly what we needed to see out of them. Really putting the speed on, going back to the things that they love to do. Shaiku, I should say, trying to get a grenade across the front, but it's intercepted by Neymar Jr., brought down before he can make it count. That does put Neymar Jr. out of position, though. We'll see how heads up Waterloo is here, if they can maybe catch Neymar Jr. as they they rotate back around, currently waiting for an opportunistic nitro cell kill from below, stalking their prey, waiting for the plant to go down, misses the nitro cell, puts it on the wrong side of the wall. The smoke grenade doesn't work either. That just feels like it's not that's just bad coincidences lining up right there. Good kill from Sarti Archer, but they will catch Neymar Jr. The diffuser is down, and now this becomes a difficult situation for Barton Jr. or Barton Hall. It's one they faced before. Out comes Salty Archer swinging around, tries to go in, gets the kill with the SMG-11. 2v2 now, 20 seconds left on the diffuser. Suvin swings, picks up one headshot. The smoke is down. Now a 1v2. We know it's not impossible. It's been done before, but Urfi has no idea where the attackers are. Doubles back, swings on the other side, looking around. How ironic, just holding out right there. There's the attempted swing by Urfi, and Suvin shuts it down. And finally, the Warriors put one up on the board in a very critical contest.
That's the biggest round they've found thus far, and they've won a map in this series. Again, baby steps. I had the same conversation back with Barton, back when they put that one round on the board in the first half of Villa. That first round is always the most difficult. They ended up converting off of it in the next map. Waterloo doesn't have that same courtesy. This is the last map of the series, whether they like it or not, and Barton already has that 2-round lead. Could be 4 right now, if that fight early wasn't the case, and maybe a Toxic Babe or a C4 go about 8 inches in either direction. But there's still possibilities here for Waterloo. The Warriors are still in this. They are fighting to the last breath, as all honorable Warriors do. The problem is, they're still fighting to do. They still have to win this out. And Barton, right back to a primary site. However, they're now 1-1 on this site. Not as confident as I think they would have been.
No, not as confident. That's fair. But again, this is now we're going back to the pattern that we've been talking about, right? Which is, okay, Waterloo just executed a successful attack on this site. They did a really good job of it. They were fast. They got the plant down, maybe a little bit lucky, but they got the plant down. Now Barton knows how they think Waterloo is going to attack. So again, this is what Siege demands of good players, is adaptation. How are they going to adapt to those potential changes, especially if Waterloo comes in for that kind of weak point over towards the B bomb site again. And I think they are building up towards that, just based on the positioning here. 4 on that side over towards B, looking again to the fountain room, kind of just outside the B bomb site.
Ironic has a decent bit of droning in here already. There's a lack of hold on that fountain side, and they've played this mirror before. The last time around, however, it was held a little bit more closely. There it is, a little bit of a late rotation over from Salty Archer. So it is still there. By no means are they giving away some free real estate, as the meme indicates. And just like that, there's Neymar Jr., a double as well, up and down the metal stairs, outside the main door. A follow-up just the same. Make it 3 with a Vector. 9-1 thus far for Neymar Jr. here on border, and Waterloo are sent packing after that single round victory.
Well, it did not sometimes you just don't know what to say. I'll give myself a little bit of leeway there. Sometimes you don't know what to say. Bad round. Not a situation in which you want to be having bad rounds. That's the unfortunate part. You just don't have a lot of margin for bad rounds, but hey, it's okay. Sometimes it does happen, whether you like it or not. You're in a 5v2. I don't really think this is winnable. I want to be positive here and say that, things can happen, and they can. It just doesn't feel like a particularly winnable opportunity. Very good kill from Suvin, though, to be fair. Neymar Jr. walked right into that. But there's a lot more defenses that need to be cracked through here. Like, this is going to be a multi-layer effort here from the 2 hard breachers, who are both, support characters, right? They're kind of on the back lines. They are not entry fraggers, and they don't necessarily have the tools to really do this effectively. And I think that's going to be what probably holds them up short here, time, no matter how great the individual talent of Suvin and how ironic, respectively.
Just the patience from Barton, I think, is going to pay off, however. I say that and then Salty Archer swings, so, never mind. But still, how ironic is dead. And a 1v4 now for Suvin, up against just about every measurable statistic other than, well, one player now being dead, that being Neymar Jr. from the previous engagement. So Suvin's on their way to an ace, has 40 seconds, and the remaining 4 players, all of whom are, at this point, definitely paying patient, and Suvin even flashes himself off the ankle, adding a little bit of insult to injury as he walks in through a crossfire. Dalos with a pixel angle through 3 doorways and a metal detector will find the frag, and Barton Community College do indeed make it 4.
Rough spot for Waterloo. I will say this though. I'll put this on it. If they can win round number 6, they go back down to bathroom tellers. It was close last time. It was a good defensive play from Barton to round the clock, but it was close. If they can win, they take over on the defense and they have a lot more cushion, right, than they did when we were looking at Oregon. They're going to have 2 rounds of cushion if they win this one. And given how effective defenses have been, 2 rounds of cushion might be all that you need. That's just more of a spitball. I think that's what I would be looking for if I was sitting on the side of Waterloo right now. The idea that, hey, okay, 4-2, we can work with a 4-2. 5-1, that's going to be a lot harder to do, but a 4-2 is workable, and this was not the strongest bomb site that we saw the Warriors play. We know that, or I should say Barton play. We know that the Warriors have it in the tank. They've done it before. They can do it again. It's just sort of finding the right openings, creating the right opportunities. And I think they're capable of it. I genuinely do. I think it would not surprise me at all if they win this round right here. I just think that based on what happened when they took their second crack at Armory, I think they could easily pick this one up.
Attackers have discovered the location of a bomb. 10 seconds.
Possibility is certainly there, but Barton Community College at this point have to make sure that they play as has worked for them. I think adjusting your play style is something that Barton may feel it may be a requirement, because Waterloo's gotten close on 3 separate occasions, and obviously one of those occasions. But here on Bathroom Tellers, it was a fairly clean defense for them last time around, and now an opening pick for Waterloo makes things a little difficult. Neymar Jr., now the only player to die in consecutive rounds for Barton, at least as of right now, and a problem has now arisen. That chaos that worked out for them last time, where Neymar Jr. was on the far side of the map, finding a kill and then rotating all the way around, finding a follow-up, that's gone in the first 20 seconds.
And to compound the problem, it's something that we haven't really talked about yet, but it's worth pointing out. The kill differential on the side of Barton is quite extreme. Salty Archer and Neymar Jr. hold the lion's share of kills. You just lost Neymar Jr. He's your top frag. Like, he's been playing really, really well across, honestly, all the maps that we've seen. Even on or even on Villa, he was, kind of picking up the speed. He was the only one that was really clicking on that map. Now a lot of pressure on Salty Archer, and we need Urfi. Well, never mind. We need I Am a Toaster 5000 and Dalos to kind of pull some of the weight, and it's not really starting the way they would want here, considering that Urfi just got blasted there by the Dokai B.
Oh, hello. Talk about an Uno reverse card. We've been talking about possibilities of new Ubisoft games being put in. There's one you could slap on a skin as you please. Dalos there for the assistant as the Cade is being pushed upon. But we're seeing a similar story to that of a few rounds ago, where Shaiko is creating so many holes through the floor that it's getting difficult for Barton to be safe in really any aspect of this secondary side of the map. And I'm a Toaster playing, whack-a-mole at this point, having to move, at this point, actually out of the room, and it's cost him some real estate, and a kill just the same. How ironic, finds a kill in the Salty Archer, but can't find another. It's down to a 2 versus 1. Uni struggles left alone, but both players for Barton are low.
Oh, wow. Dang. That was looking pretty good there for Waterloo, and then suddenly 2 gunfights lost, and that's all it takes. Good plan, though, because there's nobody here. So, put that sucker down, Uni, and get out of Dodge. You don't have find a good defensive position. You can actually win this quite easily, I think, if he plays this correctly. Ducking around right there, going into bathrooms. Careful challenging those blind corners. That's the only thing. You are in a 2v1 here. Good kill on I Am a Toaster. Beautiful kill. Exactly what was needed. Dalos playing very aggressively, playing Ring Around the Rosie in the shower block. And Dalos wins just the kind of performance they needed from one of the other members of the squad. And that will put them up 5-1 here on round 6. An amazing defensive half from Barton puts them ahead and potentially puts them in sight of a victory here on map number 3.
In 3 maps, the team that has lost the first half has gained 2 rounds total. Put that one into perspective for you. The team that's won it has picked up 17. Basically, the defensive side is 17-2 in the first half. And Barton is no exception. Now on the attacking side, looking to do exactly to Waterloo what was done to them in the first map, a 5-1 first half turned into a 7-1 victory. And they're in a pretty good spot to do so. Their attacking side looked a little bit healthier in the previous map. They were much more coordinated than they were all the way back on Villa, albeit smaller sample size, possibly an anomaly, but we'll have to see. Waterloo has 1 round cushion. They lose that, and they're up against match points, plural, until they start to win out and send us to a possible overtime, or they could just win out in this entire half due to Barton, what was done to them last map, and just win in regulation. Easy as that.
That's the dream. Just win it in regulation. You can do it. I mean, time to put your offense to the test. Part of the problem, I will say, though, for Barton is they have not played an offensive round in quite a while in this match. So that could pose some problems. When was the last time they played a defensive? That would have been
Last map. They played
one
right. round of defense, and
they
lost.
played 1 round. They played 1 round, yeah. And Barton played 1 round of offense. It was very quick, so I think I kind of forgot about it. Okay, all right, maybe not as applicable as I thought, but Barton has been playing a preponderance of defensive rounds. So let's see what they can do here with their offense. Just thinking back to Villa, I mean, it was rough. It was hard. They were fighting their hardest, but they just weren't finding the things that they needed. I think that they've got a little bit of a better shot here on Bunker. All things here are on Border, all things considered. But I don't know. Let's give it a round or 2 time, and let's find out where we are. Give it a round. Let's find out where they are on the other side of this.
I was about to say, if you give them a round or 2, the game may be over, and we are just in post-game analysis. So
that's why I said give them a round. Give them a round, and we'll see where they're at.
Slate's very lucky to be alive at this point. Oh, and he just finds a kill, because that's Rainbow Six Siege. Delos is dropped. Great start for Waterloo, exactly what they needed. And that's information as well now for Slate, dropping Delos out of contention. A follow-up maybe on a Neymar Jr. He finds it, but I don't think he knows. No, he has no clue. An impact possibly around the corner, but there's a refrag. So 1 4/5 for 1. As you can see, Neymar Jr. is on 20 HP.
Still pretty close. It's unfortunate that it was Slate who got taken down, because the Solus has such a great util. Like, really would have been super advantageous to have that Solus still up in this current situation. You know, you've got 1 Lion Ping left, which is good. You still have all your air jabs, also great. I'm a Toaster getting a kill early on. Shaiku down. That's 2 members of the defense. Suvin evening it up immediately, though. Playing very aggressively into CCTV. Finds Salty Archer on the slow look. I'm a Toaster, though, keeping it level, keeping it to the 2-2. And you can feel the tension building here, kill by kill, as slowly but surely the members of Barton close in on the bomb site. They're going to have to go very cautiously here, though, Time. I don't think they realize quite how much space they have to play with, all things considered.
They have a lot of space, but the problem is there's still utility left over for this defensive side. Now, granted, there is some for the attack as well. Obviously, 3 Selmas, a drone singular that is being taken care of and now off the board. And, most notably, 3 flashbangs that can be used. It's C4s up against flashes, lethal versus non-lethal, but there is now avenues of attack being created for Barton's avenue into the site itself. I'm a Toaster should find a way in. We'll have some help from Urfi as a first flash goes around the corner. That should be a follow-up, but it's a C4 from below that actually comes through first. A possible follow-up, but there's how ironic, from the far side, through the fountain wall, and just like that, the Warriors put their first defensive round on the board in the first round of the second half.
Okay, Waterloo should feel pretty happy with that, I think, Time. They managed to secure the win. They stabilize just a little bit. Staunch the bleeding, maybe a better term to use right there. Barton still, I think, with the strong advantage on this setup, right? That's the harsh truth of this scenario. But that bodes well. I think this is the kind of thing where they're showing a capacity to play well on the defense. They were adaptable right there. They were getting the trades. They were keeping it even right until the bitter end. And I think one of the most important aspects of this game so far has been the ability to sort of keep it even. We basically we've seen two things, and I know this is maybe sound a little like John Madden-esque in the sense that it's just, oh, you got to score more points to win. But we see two things, which is either these rounds tend to be like complete blowouts, or they tend to be really ticky-tack affairs where it's like 1-by-1 kill. And I think in the matches where it's 1-by-1, those kind of back and forth, Waterloo tends to be favored more often than not, just based on what we've seen so far. Those are the kind of situations that they won. I think it's because those ticky-tack rounds are the ones where the most just pure 1v1s are happening, and that's where Waterloo's gun skills are really showing. So hopefully they can create some more situations like that.
10 seconds left before insertion.
Now, I feel like this is 2018, 2019 Counter-Strike-esque of Team Liquid and Na'Vi versus Astralis, back when Astralis was the only real team in that meta playing utility. And Barton has been playing utility to a basic T. It's been nearly perfect for them. Their setups have been exquisite, to understate the obvious. But Waterloo's still there because sometimes fragging power can match up with just increased utility. And Barton's follow-up hasn't been there as consistently, as I think they would have liked, especially now into the second, third round of the half. It needs to show up. Now, with Jackal being unbanned, my favorite part of this Barton attack is adjusting to the roam that was brought through from Waterloo in the previous round. The Ionox scanners, a little bit of a toe fetish there for that Spaniard, but you know, you do you, whatever you're into.
Reloading. Bomb located by attackers.
I need an adult. Anyway, back on the match we go. 5-5, 1 minute in. This has actually been one of our slowest pace starts, I think, of the entire evening. Usually by about a minute in, 3 people are dead and significant map control has been established. Salty Archer pushing forward here. This Iana drone going in very slowly. The Gemini just, peeking its head around the corner. It gets hit. Unistruggle taking a bit of a shot right there on a very long angle, and that looks like it was an intentionally made long angle, and it's an intentionally made long angle that makes me feel distinctly uncomfortable. Thermite here dropping an exothermic, trying to jump out the window, can't do it fast enough. Slate was waiting and secured the kill, but there's Neymar Jr. taking Unistruggle out, so the wounded defender is taken down. Things get even up again, but not for long. Shaiku jumping into action, rips Dalus off the board, and that just leaves How Ironic sort of waiting, poised to see if they can maybe catch Neymar Jr. as they emerge there from customs. A bit of a pause for a second. Salty Archer dumping another LMG mag in the general direction of the enemy, but it's Shaiku who strikes, and it is Neymar Jr. who gets caught looking.
Fortunate lack of coordination here for Barton, and uncharacteristic for them, especially considering that last round of the first map, Slate a follow-up onto Salty Archer, and the story of this round is a lack of trade potential, and Waterloo converting off the back of it. Shaiku, most notably, who's just been shooting everybody in the face if they even look in his general direction, or in that case, even if they don't. Barton will be taken care of, and Waterloo will pick up their third on the map. This map, by far, is not over. There's still time to play, and a defensive-sided series is still on the cards because Waterloo now has 2 rounds already, is only facing a 2-round deficit, and Barton, as the story of twos continue, needs 2 rounds to take it.
Shaiku is the kind of the engine on a lot of these plays. It reminds me a lot of Villa, honestly, where Shaiku was kind of the one who was making things happen. Because his aggression seems kind of the most like salient, the most well directed. Look at that end of that last round, for example. Just really good heads up aggressive play where he just sort of took advantage of a blind spot, pushed up, got a kill, and then immediately rinse, repeat, do it again, come from an angle they're not expecting. That's really good, and if he can keep doing that, I think that's going to put them in pretty good stead. I think the moment that I would get concerned is if we start seeing things akin to what we saw towards the tail end of Villa, which was just the really kind of bold, almost suicidal runouts that are just getting punished. those are the kind of things that are not going to avail Shaiku particularly well. So something to keep in mind there for him. Again, we're getting into a situation that feels like Barton should be able to adapt to what they're seeing in terms of play style, but I do think that the discomfort with the map is somewhat enabling Waterloo to make those kind of plays.
Waterloo seemingly been enabled by themselves and then by the map, especially between Villa and now here. I think the constricting nature of their playstyle works very well on the defensive side with the constricting nature of Border, because it is one of the smallest maps in the pool, if not the smallest. I don't have exact square footage, unfortunately, not on hand at least, but it's certainly up there. The outside of the map sometimes plays a little bit more, considering the balconies used more often than not. Unistruggle being completely condensed upon. You can see stuck in the main lobby, then stuck around customs, now being forced back into ventilation. Slate the run out, and Slate the opening kill. Salty Archer taken care of, and the opening kill again goes Waterloo's way.
Okay, well, it was Slate that time who took up that aggressive challenge. And again, shades of Villa is what I'll say to that. Shades of Villa. An unfortunate kill there, too, because it was Salty Archer, who not only has put up a very respectable amount of kills, but is playing the Lion, who is it's been kind of a linchpin of a lot of these attacking strategies, right? Those big pings that get intel lock operators in place definitely makes it a lot harder to really execute this. It's good it's not Toaster. I mean, the Heart Breacher stays, but Unistruggle making a bit of a boo-boo right there. Looks left when he should have been looking right. Gets lit up for a second by Neymar Jr., but neither of them will die in that initial exchange. And now Dallos moving into position to start rolling in the Roteros. This is where they're going to have to clean up some util right here. Slate swings out, though. Lights I'm a Toaster up. Absolutely destroys it on the long-range shot. Now the members of Barton slowly starting to collapse. They're all in different positions from one another, too. They have no vertical control here. This is hugely problematic. That's more of a lucky kill, but a great swing out from cover on behalf of Slate, who's on a triple for the round. Dalos sending the drone forward. I admire the ambition right there. I admire the ambition. Unfortunately, not going to work.
That would have been hilarious if it actually happened, because I think that would have been the first time I've ever seen a baited player downed, killed based off a Rotero drone. But I have to talk about the proactability of Slate, who's just been swinging for every fight based off of unsuspecting setups for Barton. That impact run out, the swing off the Rotero drone, you don't expect somebody to just run out based off of that, and it's working thus far. Slate now sitting inside of this corner ventilation. The run down metal, though, is Subin's wasting no time having some proactivity of his own. It's Dallos in a 1 versus 5. An ace clutch required, he'll find one, and an inconsequential one at that. Slate finds a 4K, a Deagle kill to close it out, and an understandable timeout here for Barton Community College as they need to slow things down.
Yeah, it's a good call. It's a good call on the side of Barton, honestly. Like you said, slow things down, get in a bit of a situation where you can talk about this and talk about how you need to adapt on the attack, right? Because it's very clear now that Waterloo is starting to come alive on the defense. And this is exactly what I was saying earlier. This is something that you kind of have to worry about, is they did just enough to stave off Barton in those final couple of defensive rounds, and now they're taking over on the advantageous side. And I mean, you can see the tail of the tape there illustrated in the middle of your screen. As soon as the swap happens, tick, 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 they know exactly what they're doing on this defensive half, and Barton has been challenged to really find a way to adapt to it. Some of these rounds have been close, but not close enough for Barton to feel even remotely comfortable in the situation that they're in.
At this point, Waterloo, in the 3 rounds they've won on the defensive side, one of those has really been arguable for Barton, and that's honestly why this timeout came through. That round, it didn't look great. Obviously, there were some learning points about it because they have to be ready for anything. And also in this round, expect to see a few claymores set up. You can see with this composition, I believe 2 of these operators can bring claymores. I'd expect I'm a Toaster to do so at a bare minimum. That basically needs to be something that happens, because the aggression from Waterloo all the way back in map 1 when it worked out so well was based off of just swinging and swinging and swinging, and Barton just could not match it. They have to do so here because while they've already finished that attacking side, they don't have another map to make up for it, similar to that of Waterloo's position just 4 or 5 rounds ago.
That's true. That's the other concern. You don't get a flip. You know, if it goes poorly, you don't get a flip in your favor. So, you know, it's kind of like we saw in the defensive half for Barton. This is now a critical round for them. This is a round that I would almost say, kind of have to win. Like, this is one you need to walk away from victorious because you need to put it on match point, with Waterloo still having, you know, a big enough disadvantage where those razor sharp rounds matter. Slate is gonna maybe try for a run out here. That's very bold. I don't know about that. That said, I mean, there's only one attacker. He could very much get that.
Do it. Slate, I
You're
swear.
playing with fire.
It's gonna
That's
work
gotta
as
be a
well.
kill.
It's gonna
no way.
work.
Yeah.
Maybe a follow-up as well? No.
Lord.
I was gonna say I appreciate the fact that there's 2 sets of claymores being brought, but now there's really only 1. And adding insult to injury now, Barton has lost their only hard breacher in a round in which hard breachability is basically a requisite unless you go to the far side of the map. But this is not the greatest start for Barton to try and win their first round on the attacking side. Slate catching him off guard, and I said they had to be ready for anything. They were not prepared for the aggression of the Solus.
It's Villa. It's Villa again. I mean,
Yep.
That's what it is. It feels exactly like it.
Do it.
It's the exact kind of play that you saw them make on Villa. And look at this Solus just telling them exactly where 2 members of Barton are. And yeah, you know what? Go for it. Why not? Why not try and make something happen? Nearly actually works out. Urfi was just in the right spot at the right time, so they didn't get clipped right there. That would have been turning this into a 3v5. Now some pressure coming forward, but Dalos obviously spotted out earlier on. Presumably that call has gone back down the wire, so Subin should be aware that Dalos is in that general area.
Aware versus able to take them out of position. That's the real conversation point here. Slate looking all the way towards construction, now towards the security door. On the left side, this is what he has to worry about. He doesn't actually see the swing and is now walking across that square balcony. Flashbang around the corner. He's seen and now taken out. Finally, there's a frag, but no, he actually drops Neymar Jr. as Neymar Jr. drops Uni Struggle. It's a 2v4, and Slate is still aggressing. He does not care. Finally is shut down. That took much longer than it should have.
It's unfortunate that Shaiku had shifted position, or that would have been a very easy cleanup on that kill, just playing from 2 angles at once. Salty Archer here just trying to make something happen with this LMG. Finds the kill. Dalos and Salty Archer. Dalos picks up another one. Okay, now you're cooking with gas. How ironic. The only one left. SMG 11 in hand. It's not the best gun for desperate last stands. That magazine is pretty small. It's really down to if you can control that beastly recoil. I mean, look at that. He fires 6 shots. He's already out of bullets. Beautiful nitro cell. Perfectly arced. Comes sailing over the top and shuts down Dalos, and there's those claymores you were talking about, Time. That could be actually decision maker, because he's not going to be able to see them through his holographic sight. He might try and fake a plant. Pros don't fake. Tell your friends. Here comes Dalos creeping forward. Could be the kill that they needed. Is Dalos holds onto it. Beautifully done there in a clutch situation, and a must-win round for Barton Esports to put them on match point.
Perfect play as well, playing around that claymore I was setting up, and Dalos, instead of playing aggressive there, just waits for the swing. Doesn't give too much room, doesn't take too much that is not given either. And I feel there's a possibility for How Ironic to win that perfect C4. I think the one thing they could have changed is not tunnel visioning on frag. That's what they thought they had to do. Instead, you have a shotgun, you can shoot out that far side of the wall. You can even shoot out the fountain wall on the backside of metal stairs and give yourself an extra avenue of attack. At least give yourself an extra avenue for Dalos to have to look a different way. Basically playing the Waterloo playstyle in and of itself. That wasn't the case there. Focus a little bit too much on, I have an SMG 11, I have a higher fire rate, I can take this fight. Obviously didn't work. Barton now on to match and series point. Waterloo's streak has been taken away, and Barton are in the driver's seat once more.
They are in the driver's seat, and that's a good position to be in here, Time. And that's what I was saying at the start of the last round, because now really, it's not to say that there's no pressure on Barton, right? But if you were imagining pressure as a kind of thing, like, you know, a pendulum that can swing back and forth, it's definitely heading back towards Waterloo, because now you're playing on a razor's edge. it's kind of like what we saw at the tail end of Oregon, right? There's no room for error here. You go down early on one of these runouts where we're going to see Slate try here. If this doesn't work, then you're already setting yourself up for disaster. And Slate's holding this for a long time with nobody coming. Are they going to back up and just leave that wall open as well? I guess they really have no choice. That's not the best thing. I mean, the problem is now there's a gaping hole here, and we'll see. I mean, oh, no, actually, I eat my words. That might have actually been a attempted bait by Slate because he rotated it right back in there to see if he could collect a kill. He actually pops Solus, too, the little util to see if he can pick somebody up moving around, and it's not the case. So an interesting opening little tete right there, but no real end result. There it is. Never mind. I lied. Slate picks up two from that angle. Are you kidding me? What a turnaround. I was just saying, time. Oh, nothing really came of it. And then Slate hustles up the stairs and gets 2 picks.
Oh, and Shaiko just violated Neymar Jr. That's atrocious. Nice shot and good proactivity from Shaiko, and it's down to Salty Archer in 1v5. Positive sides of this, Barton still have a round to win the game in regulation. The negative, this is such a clean round from Waterloo. Not only does this give them a round away from sending it to OT, it gives them so much momentum on what has seemingly been a momentum-based series, or a defender-sided series at that. And a brief note, by the way, this is not unlimited OT. It is 3 rounds of OT, and Waterloo starts on the defensive side in OT. Slate, by the way, finds a clean 3K, and Waterloo will bring it back to within 1 of not only tying it, but sending it to OT.
Well, here we go. Go in the distance right here tonight. Go in the distance. We'll see if they can make this work. That's the thing, right? Like, Barton, I was just saying the pendulum pressure, right, that swung one way, it's come right back. Barton does not want to get into an overtime situation. They do not want to get into an overtime situation. They want to kill this in regulation. They have to end it on this round. Ventilation Workshop, not a great bomb site. You can end it here if you play this right. And Barton, I'm sure, knows that, right? The pressure feels really, I mean, this is heavy. I know it's early days yet, but this is not the kind of game that match, I guess you should say, that you want to lose. You just don't want to lose it. So, looking at their potential lineup, I don't think there's anything particularly shocking there. They have to account for Slate early on. They have to account for it. If anyone is going to make those early moves, it's going to be Slate. I don't think you're going to see Shaiko do it on the Alibi. I wouldn't rule it out, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be the Solus. If they can kill Slate, deny them the opportunity to pick up a kill, I think that they probably win the round. I'll put decent amount of money on that being the crucial factor. So we'll see how this plays out early on. Slate's already setting up for it. Thank you, Observer, for picking up. Slate's already setting up for it. So, yeah, there it is. That's brave, though, because there's a lot of them coming from that direction, and I don't think he necessarily knows that.
Oh, he has no idea, and he's just sitting in the door. He's going to run out anyway, and at least try it. It's not going to work, obviously. At least not initially. Still swinging, by the way. Nade prep from Neymar Jr. Not even close. Slate is like halfway across the map at this point because of how small the map is. Has been seen again. There's a spray through. Third attempt. Not going to happen. You were talking about it. I think the combination of removing Slate's frag ability and information gathering ability on one kill, that's what may take out Waterloo, because that's what they've been relying on a lot in these last couple rounds. 14-8, by the way, for all of you who haven't looked at Slate's KD. He's not done by any means. Selma being prepped here for the jail door. And they're going to try and open things, and they will be successful in doing so. Well, eventually at this point. There's a new jammer there. But
don't do it.
Slate? Oh, gosh. Please
stop looking at that window.
Slate, do it.
Stop looking at that window, bud. No. Don't do it. Don't be a hero. Oh,
he just did 50 damage to himself.
Oh, man. Okay, well, not great. Not a great start for Slate. You can't bandy words on that one. I think he felt under the pressure right there, so he had to bail, but not great. Now he's getting concussed. He just has to show his heels here and get back into cover. And this is actually a little bit problematic because I was saying that's their early frag man, right? That's the guy who's been picking people off before they become a serious problem. But it looks like Shaiko thought that he had some sort of play to pull off right there, and it didn't really manifest. defense. So a little bit of an intel boo-boo, all things considered, as they sort of try and play out these defensive positions. And it's fascinating that Barton just doesn't care about the verticality. They don't care. They're going in it entirely horizontal.
By attackers.
They found the struggle, at least as a possibility. It's time delay that's played out in favor of Waterloo, and Barton trying to remove that possibility, just playing forward and front heavy, but it's not working thus far. Suvin will find the opening kill. Salty Archer taken care of. That was actually from above through this ventilation window, but there is a return. Slate finds a kill across into I'm a Toaster, and Waterloo possibly sending things to OT here, but it's not over. Urfi and Neymar Jr. still alive, a combined 13 kills between them in this map. Neymar Jr. on the better side of that one, but Urfi still here with the ARX in hand, and even with its recent nerfs, it's still a viable weapon to possibly send this to a regulation victory.
15 seconds.
Well, that I think is putting down any chance of them getting a regulation victory. A 1v4 situation here for Urfi. The wheels just kind of coming off on the tail end of this, which is a shame because Barton has fought so hard to get to this point, but it will not be. We go to overtime here. The Warriors stage a stand on the defense, and Barton has to take the attacking side. That's the scariest part.
Waterloo will get the defense. They didn't get overtime, or they didn't get defense in regulations. They got overtime defensive choice. And you gotta feel bad for Barton. Thus far, it's been 5-1, 5-1. There is an 83.33% chance, at least, that Waterloo wins their defensive rounds. And Barton is up against the ropes and needs some Muhammad Ali level dodging ability in a heavyweight bout.
Muhammad Ali level dodging ability. Yeah, that's fair. They will need that, I think, at this point in time. But as was once sung by the great band Linkin Park, they tried so hard and they got so far, but in the end, it didn't even matter. And that's the situation, the way it's looking for Barton, just based on the defensive siding here. I hope that's not the case. I hope that they can, put this right into the final round. If you're gonna go to overtime, you might as well take it all the way. But I just think Waterloo is played too well on this defensive side. They've just played too well, and the things that Barton has tried to do to counteract it have just not worked. And again, I know that sounds bad on face, and I know that Barton is going to be unhappy if they don't win this game tonight, but I think in terms of a lesson learning game, I said it after Villa, and I'll say it again now, I think this is probably one of the best lesson games you could have. Like, this will really teach them something. They're not going to walk away from this having learned nothing, because they will now be more prepared than ever to counter this sort of aggressive playstyle. And if they're going to play in the Champions Division, I think they're going to see a lot of aggression just like this.
I think both teams are really learning something out of this series as well.
Definitely.
Because by no means is this a one-sided series in every single round. Twitch drone, by the way, on the board. There is not a Kaid, rarely enough for a bathroom teller's defense. Waterloo not extending, at least not that much, over towards that workshop wall into ventilation. Barton, that same conversation is applicable to Waterloo, as I was really bringing up. Well, yeah, Waterloo dominated Villa. Waterloo got dominated on Oregon. And I think they need to dissect what happened to their attack, because it just continually got picked apart, and I think the team play really needed to be there, and they just didn't adjust for it. Hopefully they can later on.
Hopefully they can later on. Yeah, hopefully they, for their sake,
season.
I hope they can figure it out in the next 1 minute and 45 seconds. But yeah, over the course of the season, definitely. And that's exactly what you want here at the NECC. This is it's a good learning opportunity for the players and for the teams, and it's all about kind of, growing through competition, as you like to see in collegiate esports. So there you go. Unfortunately, Barton needs to grow their amount of map control pretty significantly in the next few minutes, because I don't feel like they have a particularly good handle on what they need to make an assault here. They've got time, though. I'll give them that. They've got time, and they've got fraggers. I mean, they've got people on this team who can make this happen. The top 3 players on Barton have played very, very well here on these last 2 maps, and they can do so again. Unistruggle already in a bit of half-health situation. Shaiku now rotating down, and he's going to be a big threat, because these off angles have been killing Barton all night long. They just don't know to expect people who are coming from it. Love the stack up play here from Barton, but time continuing to be a critical factor. They just don't have enough space to do what they need to do. Time. They just don't have it.
They haven't even gotten to rooms that are outside of the site, much less inside of the site itself. They're trying to encroach around square. They finally cleared out that top floor pressure, and Slate is taken care of. That's the top fragger off the board. A follow-up as well from I'm a Toaster, but only one. A 2-for-1 trade to open up the fragging here in our first round of OT, but Neymar Jr. is not done. The 417 from the Twitch frags out yet again, and Suvin hold, watching that teller's window, how ironic, around towards the double door and finds a kill of his own. Suvin, the readjustment, has to look in 2 different windows and can't find a kill in either. Barton find the 3rd attacking round of the game in seemingly the most important one of them all.
Wow. What play by Barton. Like, what play right there. Exactly what they needed at that exact moment. Hell of a comeback for the Barton side. I mean, even if they don't win this, even if they don't, this has been a spectacular game for them. And to be fair, a spectacular game for Waterloo as well. That was literally, I mean, you do not get much more down to the wire than that. That was so close. And just really good play from Barton. They finally were playing off of trades, and Waterloo, valiant effort. I mean, they went down swinging on that one, but they just could not find the kills fast enough in those situations to get what they needed. Now Barton has the defensive advantage. This is it, right? Like, this is the must-win round. I don't think you can rely on the concept of lightning striking twice if you take over on the attacking side. You just can't do it. You just can't do it. So you have to win this defensive round. The last couple of times that we saw this, it was a close bomb site. It's been one of the closer ones. That is a little stressful, but I think Barton probably has a little bit of a confidence edge here. Like, I think they're quite comfortably capable of winning this out.
They can. It's a matter of whether they will. Both teams have the hero solace. It's Slate up against Neymar Jr. to see who can frag out gooder than the other. I suppose Salty Archer and Shaiku are the secondary fraggers in that same respect, with follow-up, in this case, from Dallas and Subin. So you've seen similar roles played on either side of the coin, but Waterloo still down a round. Overtime match point, win it and you move on, 1-1 in this season for Barton. Lose it and you're looking at a 15th. Not what they want to face, and Shaiku already taken, what, just over 20 damage to start off the round. Barton's pretty happy with that trade.
They're pretty happy with it. It's not a kill. I think they would have been a lot happier with the kill, but that's okay. It's okay. It's a good start. Good start. Neymar playing the Solace. That's a huge advantage. Big intel advantage. Salty's on the smoke. Has been a fantastic smoke player all night long. And in a good position to hold out there around the bathroom. That's exactly where you want an anchor to be set up. The problem is there's not a lot of vertical contests. Now, Slate has been able to establish vertical control multiple times on these maps. It's been very limited in terms of what Waterloo Warriors have actually been able to do with that vertical advantage. This would be a very bad time for Barton if Waterloo suddenly found the footing that they need, because as you can see, vertical control is now secured. There's not even an attempt to contest it on the side of Barton. They might have one C4 here in the pocket that they're holding on to. And they do have one! That's Slate down. Huge play to start it off. Perfectly timed C4 at a critical juncture.
There was a player to drop using your only real explosive in this round. That's the one to do it. The opening kill goes the way of Barton. While they're on series point, Shaiku also taking even more damage, and he's now taken care of. Dallos finds the follow-up, and Waterloo need to overcome a 2-man deficit with just 70 seconds remaining, possibly in the series, just to keep it going. And Korbeck, at this point, they have very little time, much less utility in the grand scheme of things, because they still have 5 players to clear out, and those 5 players, all fragging abilities.
What a great angle from Dalos facing back up the stairs. The problem now is that Waterloo has to get down from their vertical positioning, and I feel like they're missing some of their key tools to do that. Suvin could theoretically, yeah, they could just drop this, and that's going to be exactly what they do. A blitz strat perfectly in line with what we've seen. Suvin gets the follow-up, but I'm a Toaster is there to lock it down. An attempt by Suvin to get one more kill in the bank, using the defender's shield for cover, but in a 1v4 situation, does not have diffuser control, and it's a valiant last stand here in the showers for Suvin, but it feels like it might not be enough. Suvin getting clipped from multiple angles, still firing, and it's Dalos who finds the last kill, advancing up the hallway. And what a match for both of these teams, and what a spectacular comeback here for Barton.
Barton found 2 attacking rounds in that map. 3 if you count the entire series, 4 if you count Oregon just the same. Barton holds strong, and when clutch moments were required from them, they were there. The meat of Border, it was just not good. I'm gonna be honest with you, they just did not look like a team put together. They honestly looked like Waterloo did back on Oregon. Both teams shades of one another in both respects. But the later stages of Border, that's when Barton held. Round number 10, most importantly, getting that 6th round of the board, at least guaranteeing OT, and then back to backing overtime. Insane close for them. Exactly what they needed.
Very much so, and I will say it in all credit to both of the teams, it was incredibly close. That Border went to overtime. It had the feel of a map that could honestly go either direction. Barton comes out on top. Waterloo has nothing to be ashamed of because they did spectacular there multiple times, and it was very evenly matched. I was happy to cast this one time because honestly, this was a really, really good matchup, and I hope both the teams enjoyed it. I hope they learned something for it. I certainly enjoyed it. Like, genuinely, a really good match of Rainbow Six Siege here for NECC tonight. But that, unfortunately, does do it for us here on this channel. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Time for joining me here in the casting booth on short notice. I appreciate you filling in. And, of course, a big thank you to our production staff behind the scenes who are making it all run. And finally, from all of us here at the NECC, thank you so much for watching and have a very happy Valentine's.